What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? The galaxy did not hear him when he was born. There were no alarms across the Jedi Temple. No ancient Sith spirit screamed from the shadows. No senator, no king, no warlord, no slave master looked up at the stars and realized that everything they had built was already doomed. On Tatooine, beneath twin suns and endless sand, a child came into the world with eyes that seemed too aware for a newborn. His name was Anakin Skywalker. And from the first breath he took, he knew he was different. Not special. Not chosen. Greater. The Force did not whisper to him the way it whispered to others. It did not guide him gently or surround him like a distant ocean. To Anakin, the Force was not a mystery. It was not a religion. It was not something to be respected from afar. It was a weapon. It was a throne. It was the invisible blood of the galaxy, flowing through every living thing, waiting for someone strong enough to command it. As a baby, he did not cry like other children. When he was hungry, objects moved without hands. When he was afraid, the air grew heavy. When someone shouted near him, the lights flickered, the walls trembled, and grown adults suddenly forgot why they were angry. His mother, Shmi Skywalker, noticed before anyone else. First, she told herself it was nothing. Strange things happened on Tatooine. Machines broke, winds shifted, sandstorms came from nowhere. But Anakin was not a sandstorm. He was something far worse. By the time he could walk, he could hear thoughts before people spoke them. By the time he could speak, he could sense lies before they were told. By the time he was 5, he understood fear so deeply that he could reach into another person's heart and twist it. Yet he smiled like a normal child. That was what frightened Shmi the most. Not the power, the control. Anakin never used his strength by accident. Even when he was small, even when he should have been too young to understand what he was doing, he chose. Every movement, every silence, every stare was deliberate. One night, when he was 7 years old, Shmi found him standing outside beneath the stars, his bare feet buried in the cold sand. "Anakin," she said softly, "what are you doing?" He did not look back at her. Listening. To what? The galaxy. Shmi stepped closer, wrapping her shawl tightly around herself as the desert wind moved around them. Anakin lifted his hand toward the sky. "There are people out there who think they own everything," he said. "Armies, worlds, kingdoms, the Jedi, the Sith, the Republic, the Hutts." Shmi's face went pale at the mention of the Hutts. "Don't speak of them," she warned. "Not where someone might hear." Anakin finally turned to her. His eyes were calm, too calm. "One day, they will be afraid to speak my name." Shmi stared at him, unable to answer. For years, Anakin studied in secret. He learned from broken data pads, stolen records, forgotten legends, smugglers' stories, and whispers carried through the Force itself. He discovered the Jedi first. Their discipline, their patience, their connection to life, their belief that power had to be controlled by peace. Then he found the Sith, their passion, their hunger, their rage, their belief that power belonged to those strong enough to take it. Anakin studied both, and he rejected both. The Jedi were too weak. The Sith were too consumed by hate. Anakin saw them as two broken halves of a truth they were too afraid to complete. The Jedi denied power because they feared becoming monsters. The Sith embraced power and became slaves to their own darkness. Anakin wanted neither chains nor blindness. He wanted the galaxy, so he learned quietly. He pulled light into one hand and darkness into the other. He practiced healing wounds and causing pain. He bent fire, water, stone, and wine through the Force. He learned to silence his presence so completely that even the strongest Jedi could have stood beside him and sensed nothing. By the age of 9, Anakin Skywalker had hidden himself from the galaxy. The Jedi did not know him. The Sith did not know him. The Republic did not know him. And that was exactly how he wanted it. Because before he could rule the stars, he had to take his first throne. Tatooine. For generations, the desert world had been a place of chains. Slaves were bought and sold beneath the suns. Families were broken for credits. Water was worth more than mercy. The Hutts ruled from their palaces, fat with greed and protected by fear. Anakin watched it all. He watched children beaten in the streets. He watched mothers beg for water. He watched men lower their heads whenever a Hutt's name was spoken. And every year something inside him grew colder. Not because he pitied them, because he hated weakness. He hated that the people endured it. He hated that the Hutts believed themselves untouchable. He hated that an entire world could kneel because no one strong enough had decided to stand. On the day Anakin turned 10, he walked alone toward the palace of the Hutts. No army followed him. No guards protected him. He wore simple desert clothes, his dark hair moving in the hot wind, his face calm as he stepped through the gates. The guards laughed when they saw him. One of them, a large Nikto with a rusted blade at his side, stepped forward. "Lost boy?" Anakin looked at him. The guard froze. For one moment, the Nikto saw something behind the child's eyes. Not anger, not fear, something endless. Something that made his hand tremble near his weapon. "I am here for the throne," Anakin said. The guards stared. Then they laughed louder. Inside the palace, the laughter only grew. The Hutts sat upon their platforms, surrounded by criminals, bounty hunters, dancers, merchants, and slaves. The air smelled of spice, sweat, and rotten luxury. Chains dragged across the floor as servants moved carefully, afraid to make even the smallest mistake. Anakin stood in the center of the chamber, small, silent, alone. One of the Hutts leaned forward, his massive eyes narrowing with amusement. "You?" The Hutt rumbled. "A child." The chamber erupted with laughter. Anakin did not react. Another Hutt laughed so hard his whole body shook. "You come to demand our throne? You are property, little one. Everything on this planet belongs to us." Anakin slowly raised his head. "No," he said. It did. The laughter began to fade. The air changed. At first, no one understood what was happening. The music stopped. The torches bent inward. The temperature dropped so suddenly that breath became visible in the air. Then the Hutts began to choke. Their laughter turned into wet gasps. Their great bodies convulsed as dark veins spread beneath their skin. Poison formed inside them, not from a cup, not from a blade, not from any weapon in the room. From the force itself. Panic exploded across the chamber. Guards reached for blasters, but their fingers locked in place. Bounty hunters tried to stand, but their knees slammed into the floor. Slaves backed against the walls, staring in horror and awe as the rulers of Tatooine began to beg. "Stop!" one Hutt rasped. Anakin walked closer. "Please!" another choked. "We can give you anything." Anakin smiled. It was not the smile of a child. It was the smile of something that had already decided the future and was simply waiting for everyone else to understand. "You have nothing I need," Anakin said. Then he lifted both hands. From one hand came lightning black as a dying star. From the other came lightning white as burning sunlight. The two powers twisted together, screaming through the chamber as they struck the Hutts with impossible force. Their massive bodies lifted from their platforms, shaking violently as the palace walls cracked around them. The Hutts screamed. Then the screams stopped. Their bodies turned gray, then black, then shattered into dust that scattered across the throne room floor. Silence fell. No one moved. No one breathed. Anakin lowered his hands. The dust of the Hutts drifted around his feet. Then he turned to the crowd. "You are free," he said. The slaves stared at him, unable to believe what they had heard. One woman stepped forward, her chains still hanging from her wrists. "Free," she whispered. Anakin looked at the chains. They broke instantly. Across the palace, every chain snapped at once. Metal collars cracked open. Slave marks burned away from skin. Explosive implants died inside bodies without harming the people who carried them. The freed slaves began to cry. Some fell to their knees. Some reached toward him like he was a savior. Others were too afraid to move. Anakin watched them all. Then he spoke again. You are free because I allow it. You will never kneel to the huts again. You will never be sold. You will never beg for water. You will never call another creature master." His voice echoed through the palace. "But you will remember who gave you this freedom." One by one the people bowed, not because chains forced them down, because awe did. By sunset, every hut fortress on Tatooine had fallen. Anakin did not march from city to city. He did not need to. He reached through the Force and touched every palace, every crime lord, every slave market, every hidden vault. The old order collapsed in a single day. Those who surrendered lived. Those who resisted vanished. By nightfall, the name Skywalker was no longer spoken as a family name. It was spoken as law. But Anakin was not finished. Freedom alone was not enough. A freed world could still be invaded. A broken world could still be reclaimed. The Hutts had allies, and criminals across the Outer Rim would come seeking revenge. So Anakin raised his hands beneath the twin moons and placed a barrier around the entire planet. It was invisible at first. Then the sky shimmered. Ships attempting to land struck the unseen wall and burned through the atmosphere. Smugglers trying to flee were forced back to the surface. No one entered. No one left. Tatooine was sealed. The galaxy did not understand what had happened. Trade routes went silent. Hutt communications died. Ships sent to investigate disappeared against the barrier like insects against glass. Inside the sealed world, Anakin began his true work. For 1 month, he studied the planet beneath him. He listened to the buried rivers deep below the sand. He felt the dead oceans that had once existed before time and war stripped the world dry. He reached into the bones of Tatooine and found its forgotten life. Then he commanded it to awaken. The first rain fell 3 days after the Hutts died. People ran into the streets screaming, laughing, crying as water touched their faces for the first time. Children opened their mouths to the sky. Old moisture farmers dropped to their knees and wept as the dry earth drank from the heavens. But the rain did not stop. It spread. Across deserts, across canyons, across dunes that had not known water for thousands of years, green life began to rise. Grass broke through the sand. Trees grew taller than towers. Rivers carved silver paths across the land. Lakes formed in ancient basins. Flowers bloomed where bones had once been buried. The twin suns no longer burned the world empty. They fed it. Anakin stood above it all from the balcony of the former Hutt palace and watched the desert die. No, not die. Transform. Shmi came to him one morning as the first forest rose beyond the city. "You did this," she said quietly. Anakin did not turn around. "Yes, they love you. They should." She looked at him with sadness in her eyes. "Anakin, love should not come from fear." He finally faced her. For a moment he looked like her son again. Young, human, almost gentle. Then his expression hardened. "Fear built this world," he said. "Fear kept them in chains. Fear made them obey monsters." He looked out at the forests spreading beyond the city. "I have given them something better to fear." Shmi stepped back, shaken by the certainty in his voice. Within weeks, Tatooine no longer looked like Tatooine. It became larger, impossibly larger, expanded through the Force until its cities and continents dwarfed even Coruscant. Scientists would have called it impossible. The Jedi would have called it unnatural. The Sith would have called it divine. Anakin called it necessary. A new capital rose from the heart of the transformed world. Not built by slaves, built by believers. Its towers were made of white stone, black metal, and living crystal. Waterfalls flowed between buildings. Great bridges crossed glowing rivers. Gardens stretched for miles. At the center stood a palace larger than any Hutt fortress, not bloated with greed, but sharp, beautiful, and terrifying. Above its highest tower, a symbol was carved into the stone. A rising sun behind a single blade of light. The mark of Skywalker. Anakin gathered the strongest among his people. Former slaves, warriors, survivors, children who had heard the Force but never understood it. adults whose power had been buried beneath fear and suffering. He taught them, not as Jedi, not as Sith, as something new. They learned discipline without mercy, passion without madness, loyalty without question. They were taught to heal the sick, raise walls from stone, summon fire from empty air, and crush enemies before they could threaten the world. They became his first army. Force users who did not answer to the Jedi Council. Force users who did not kneel to the Sith. They answered only to Anakin Skywalker. On his 11th birthday, the entire planet celebrated. By then, the people no longer called their world Tatooine. That name belonged to slavery, to sand, to weakness, to the Hutts. Anakin erased it from public record. The planet was renamed Skywalker. Across every city, bells rang. Rivers were filled with floating lights. Children sang his name in streets where slave auctions had once taken place. Soldiers stood in perfect formation as crowds cheered from balconies and gardens. Anakin walked through the capital with his mother at his side. The people bowed as he passed. Some reached for him. Some cried his name. Some called him king. Others called him emperor. Anakin listened to them all and said nothing. At the edge of the Grand Plaza, a young boy no older than Anakin had once been stepped forward from the crowd. His mother tried to pull him back, terrified that he would offend their ruler, but the boy escaped her grip and ran toward him. The guards moved instantly. Anakin raised one hand. They stopped. The boy stood before him, trembling. "Lord Skywalker," the child said. Anakin looked down at him. "What do you want?" The boy swallowed. "My father was a slave. My mother was a slave. I was born a slave." The crowd grew silent. The boy looked up at him with tears in his eyes. "Because of you, I'm not." For the first time that day, Anakin's expression changed. Only slightly. The boy bowed his head. "Thank you." Anakin stared at him for a long moment. Then he placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You were born into chains," Anakin said, "but you will grow into power." The boy looked up. Anakin's eyes burned with quiet purpose. "Remember that." The crowd erupted. Cheers shook the plaza. The people loved him. The army worshipped him. The world obeyed him. And beyond the barrier, the galaxy continued its wars, blind to the Empire growing in silence. The Jedi still did not know. The Sith still did not know. The Republic still did not know. But deep within the Force, something had changed. A world once ruled by criminals had become a paradise. A child once born in slavery had become its master. And Anakin Skywalker, hidden from every power in the galaxy, looked beyond the stars and smiled. Because Skywalker was only the beginning. What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? Beyond the barrier of Skywalker, the galaxy continued to burn. The Republic still called itself united, but every day that passed revealed another crack beneath its shining surface. Senators argued while systems starved. Corporations smiled while they armed both sides of the coming war. Jedi moved from planet to planet, believing they were guardians of peace, unaware that peace had already become a dying language. The Sith waited in shadows. The Jedi watched the stars. The Republic counted votes. And far away, hidden behind a wall of impossible Force energy, Anakin Skywalker built something none of them were prepared to face. His world was no longer a desert, where sand once swallowed cities. Forests now stretched beyond the horizon. Vast oceans reflected the twin suns. Rivers cut through valleys of black stone and silver grass. Mountains rose where dunes had once stood, their peaks crowned with temples, fortresses, and towers carved by the Force itself. The people called it paradise. Anakin called it foundation. He stood at the highest balcony of his palace, looking down upon the capital of Skywalker. The city was alive beneath him. Ships hovered between towers. Soldiers marched across white bridges. Children ran beside fountains that never stopped flowing. Former slaves walked freely through markets where no chains were sold. No masters shouted, and no one bowed unless they chose to. But when Anakin appeared above them, they all looked up. Every face turned toward him. The city grew quiet, Thousands of people stopped where they stood, not from fear alone, but from something deeper. Awe, loyalty, worship. Anakin raised one hand. Across the capital, the banners of his empire unfolded from towers and walls. Black cloth, red symbol. The Empire of Skywalker. The emblem burned against the wind like a wound across the sky. A sharp red starburst, long and cruel, pointing outward in all directions, as if the empire itself was destined to spread beyond the world that birthed it. The people cheered. Their voices rose together until the city shook. Skywalker! 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 Anakin listened without smiling. Beside him stood Shmi. She had changed in the year since the huts fell. She no longer wore the clothing of a slave. Her robes were soft white and silver, made by the grateful hands of the people her son had freed. Yet, even dressed like royalty, she still looked at Anakin with the eyes of a mother who saw the boy beneath the throne. "You gave them hope," she said. Anakin kept his gaze on the city. "I gave them order. Hope is not weakness, Ani." He glanced at her. No one else called him that anymore. Not his soldiers. Not his council. Not the people. To them, he was Lord Skywalker, the liberator, the world maker, the hidden emperor. Only Shmi still dared to call him Ani. "Hope without power is a lie," Anakin said. "The galaxy is full of hopeful worlds. They still burn. They still starve. They still kneel." Shmi stepped closer to him. "And what will you make them kneel to instead?" Anakin looked back at the banners. "To me." The answer was quiet. That made it worse. Shmi's face tightened with pain, but she said nothing. She had seen what her son could do. She had seen him kill monsters. She had seen him free slaves. She had seen him turn a dead world into a living one. But she had also seen the look in his eyes when people bowed. He did not look surprised. He looked as if the galaxy had finally begun to understand its place. Far below, the army of Skywalker gathered in the Grand Plaza. They were not clones. They were not droids. They were not mercenaries bought with credits or criminals forced into service. They were believers. Men and women who had once been nothing in the eyes of the galaxy now wore black and silver armor marked with the Empire of Skywalker symbol. Some carried weapons. Others carried no weapons at all. They did not need them. The strongest among them could bend stone, summon flame, crush steel, or stop a heart from across a room. They were Anakin's first Forceborn Legion. At their head stood a young woman named Viola Wren. She had once been a slave in a Hutt pleasure house, forced to dance for monsters who never saw her as human. After Anakin broke her chains, he discovered she was sensitive to the Force. Not strong like him, no one was, but strong enough to be shaped. Now she stood as commander of his First Order. Her armor was darker than the others, with a long black cloak falling behind her. Across her chest, the red symbol of the Empire of Skywalker burned proudly. When Anakin descended into the plaza, the entire legion dropped to one knee. The sound of thousands of armored knees striking stone echoed like thunder. Viola lowered her head. "My lord," she said, "the legion awaits your command." Anakin walked past the kneeling soldiers slowly, studying them. He could feel their fear, their loyalty, their hunger. Good. Fear kept them sharp. Loyalty kept them bound. Hunger kept them moving forward. "You were born into a galaxy that forgot you," Anakin said. His voice carried without effort, amplified by the Force until every soul in the plaza heard him as if he stood directly beside them. "You were sold, beaten, starved, used. The Republic did not save you. The Jedi did not come for you. The Senate did not speak your names. The Hutts called you property, and the galaxy agreed through silence." The soldiers remained still, but the crowd behind them began to murmur. Anakin continued walking. "Then I came." The words struck the plaza like a blade. "I did not ask permission. I did not wait for a council. I did not debate your freedom in a chamber of cowards. I took this world from its masters, and I gave it to those worthy enough to rise." He stopped before Viola. She looked up at him. Anakin's eyes were cold and bright. But freedom is only the beginning. A free world hidden behind a barrier is not an empire. A paradise that cannot defend itself is only a dream waiting to be destroyed. He turned toward the crowd. The galaxy will come for us one day. The Hutts will seek revenge. The Republic will fear what they cannot control. The Jedi will call us dangerous. The Sith will call us rivals. The air grew heavy. Anakin raised his hand toward the banners. Let them. The soldiers lifted their heads. When they discover us, they will not find escaped slaves hiding in gardens. They will not find a child king playing with power he does not understand. They will find an empire already forged. They will find soldiers who do not run. They will find a people who will never wear chains again. His fingers curled into a fist. And they will learn that Skywalker does not ask for a place in the galaxy. He looked across the capital. It takes it. The plaza erupted. The people screamed his name. Soldiers slammed their fists against their chests. The banners of the Empire of Skywalker snapped violently in the wind as if the world itself approved. But not everyone cheered. Shmi stood at the edge of the balcony above, watching her son become something greater and darker with every word. And deep in her heart, she felt afraid. Not of what Anakin would fail to do, of what he would succeed in becoming. That night, Anakin entered the chamber beneath his palace. No guards followed him there. No servants. No commanders. Only silence. The chamber had been built around an ancient wound in the planet itself. When Anakin transformed Tatooine into Skywalker, he had discovered something buried deep below the sands. Something older than the Hutts. Older than the Republic. Older than any map that named the world. Temple. Not Jedi. Not Sith. Something before both. Its walls were made of black stone that drank the light. Symbols covered every surface, shifting when looked at directly, as if the language refused to stay still for ordinary eyes. Anakin understood it anyway. The Force had many doors. The Jedi opened only the ones they found safe. The Sith smashed through the ones that promised power. Anakin did neither. He built his own keys. At the center of the temple floated a broken crystal, larger than a man, cracked down the middle and pulsing with both light and shadow. It had awakened when Anakin entered the ruins for the first time. He called it the Heart of Skywalker. Every day he studied it. Every night it showed him pieces of what the galaxy tried to hide. He stepped before the crystal and placed his hand against its surface. The chamber shook. Light and darkness moved beneath his skin. Visions exploded through his mind. He saw Coruscant, a world of towers and endless lights, a city pretending to be a planet, a throne disguised as a Senate chamber. He saw the Jedi Temple, thousands of Jedi walking through halls of stone and peace, blind to the darkness standing beside them. He saw a man in robes, smiling like a politician, but hiding a black sun where his soul should have been. Anakin narrowed his eyes. The Sith, not a story, not a legend, real, hidden inside the Republic itself. The vision shifted. He saw armies marching, droids, clones, worlds burning. He saw Jedi leading soldiers into battle, their robes stained by war while they still called themselves peacekeepers. Then he saw himself, older, taller, armored in black, standing before a galaxy on its knees. For the first time in years, Anakin smiled. But then the vision changed again. He saw fire. He saw a woman crying. He saw his mother reaching for him through smoke. He saw the Empire of Skywalker symbol burning on torn banners. He heard a voice whisper from somewhere beyond the crystal. Power always demands blood. Anakin's smile disappeared. The chamber cracked around him. No, he said. The crystal pulsed. Again the voice whispered. Even yours. Anakin's eyes turned furious. He lifted his hand, and black and white lightning erupted from his fingers, striking the crystal with enough power to tear the chamber apart. The ancient stone screamed. The air burned. The ground split beneath his feet. But the crystal did not break. It only glowed brighter. Anakin stepped closer, lightning crawling across his arms. I do not serve prophecy, he said. I do not obey fate. I do not sacrifice what is mine. The crystal showed him Shmi again. This time she was kneeling. Not as a slave, as a victim. Anakin's rage filled the temple like a storm. I said no. The vision shattered. The chamber fell silent. Anakin stood alone in the dark, breathing slowly. For the first time, the future had shown him something he did not like. That made him angry, not afraid. Anger was useful. Fear was for those who could not change what they saw. Anakin turned away from the crystal and left the chamber with one decision burning inside him. If fate demanded blood from his empire, then fate would be the first thing he conquered. By morning, his orders spread across the capital. The barrier around Skywalker would remain. No one would enter. No one would leave. But Anakin would begin preparing for the galaxy beyond it. Not with reckless invasion. With knowledge. He summoned Vaila Ren to the throne room. She entered alone and knelt before him. My lord. Anakin sat upon the dark throne, the Empire of Skywalker symbol carved above his head. Behind him, tall windows revealed the living world he had created. Forests, rivers, towers, armies. A kingdom hidden inside a miracle. I have seen the galaxy more clearly, Anakin said. Vaila looked up. And what did you see? Rot. She waited. Anakin leaned forward. The Republic is dying. The Jedi are blind. The Sith are hiding among those who claim to protect peace. War is coming, and when it begins, the galaxy will tear itself open. Vaila's expression hardened. Then we strike first. No, the answer surprised her. Anakin stood. We are not ready to rule the galaxy. Not yet. A throne taken too early becomes a target. The Jedi and Sith have spent generations shaping their orders. The Republic has spent centuries spreading its roots into every system. He stepped down from the throne. I will not build an empire that collapses because it was hungry before it was strong. Vaila bowed her head. What would you have us do? Anakin walked past her toward a great map of Skywalker. Sections of the planet glowed in the air, showing cities, oceans, training temples, military zones, hidden vaults, and energy towers supporting the planetary barrier. We strengthen everything, he said. The army, the cities, the temples, the fleet, the people. Every child sensitive to the Force will be found and trained. Every citizen will be educated. Every soldier will learn loyalty before violence. Every builder will raise monuments that last longer than the Republic. He touched the map. Beyond Skywalker, thousands of stars appeared. And we watch. Vaila studied the stars. How, my lord? The barrier blocks all travel. Anakin's eyes darkened. Ships can be stopped. The Force cannot. He turned toward her. I will create eyes beyond the wall. Within days, Anakin gathered his strongest Force users inside the Temple of the First Dawn, a vast structure built on the site where the first rain had fallen. 100 students stood in a circle around him. Some were children, some were adults. All had been chosen because they could feel beyond themselves. Anakin walked among them slowly. The Jedi use the Force to listen, he said. The Sith use it to hunt. You will do both. The students watched him with complete focus. You will send your minds past the barrier. You will search the stars. You will listen to Republic transmissions. You will feel the movement of armies, crime syndicates, senators, Jedi, and Sith. You will become unseen witnesses. A boy raised his hand nervously. Anakin stopped. Speak, my lord, the boy said, voice shaking. What if the Jedi sense us? Anakin looked at him. The boy lowered his hand. They will not, Anakin said, because I will teach you how to disappear. He raised both hands. The temple went dark. Not from lack of light, from absence. Every student suddenly felt as if Anakin was gone. He stood before them, visible to their eyes, yet in the Force there was nothing. No presence, no power, no life. It was as though a hole in existence had taken the shape of a boy. Several students staggered back. One fell to her knees. Then Anakin allowed his presence to return. The Force crashed into the room. Many gasped. Anakin looked across them. To be powerful is not enough. Power seen too early invites enemies. Power hidden until the right moment becomes destiny. He stepped into the center of the circle. Again, training became brutal, not cruel. Brutal. Anakin did not tolerate weakness that refused to grow. Students who failed were not punished for failing. They were punished for accepting failure. He made them meditate beneath waterfalls until they could silence pain. He made them stand before flames until they could command fear. He made them reach across the stars until their minds trembled from the vastness of space. Some broke. Anakin did not kill them. He reassigned them. Not everyone was meant to be a blade. Some became builders. Some healers. Some scholars. Some guardians of the cities. Every soul had a place in his empire. But no soul was allowed to be useless. Months passed. The world grew stronger. The army became sharper. The capital expanded. The first hidden shipyards were built beneath the oceans of Skywalker, where massive warships slowly began to take form under the water, protected from any eye that might one day pierce the barrier. The ships did not look like Republic cruisers. They did not look like Hutt barges. They were sleek, dark, and majestic, built from black metal and living crystal, each marked with the Empire of Skywalker symbol. Anakin walked through the largest shipyard with Vaila at his side as sparks rained from above and workers bowed as he passed. Before them rested the first flagship. It was unfinished but already enormous. A dagger-shaped vessel with a throne chamber at its heart and a crystal engine powered by the Force itself. Vaila looked up at it in awe. "What will you name it, my lord?" Anakin stared at the warship. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he answered, "The first will." Vaila bowed. A fitting name. Anakin's gaze remained fixed on the ship. One day, it will leave this world first. And when the galaxy sees it, they will understand that a new power has entered the stars. Above them, workers welded the red emblem into the ship's armor. The Empire of Skywalker. The symbol glowed under the forge light. But far away, beyond the barrier, beyond Skywalker, beyond everything Anakin believed he had hidden, something shifted. On Coruscant, in the highest tower of the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda opened his eyes. He had been meditating alone, listening to the Force as he had done for centuries. Usually, the Force moved in currents. Troubled, yes. Clouded, yes. The dark side had grown stronger in recent years, wrapping itself around the Republic like smoke. But this was different. For one moment, Yoda felt nothing. Not peace. Not darkness. Nothing. A silence so complete it frightened him more than any scream. Then it vanished. Yoda opened his eyes slowly. Across the room, Mace Windu stood waiting. "You felt it too," Mace said. Yoda did not answer immediately. His ears lowered. "A shadow," Yoda murmured. "But not of the Sith." Mace frowned. "What else could hide from us like that?" Yoda looked toward the window, beyond the endless city, beyond the stars. Something old. Something new. Mace's expression hardened. "Is it a threat?" Yoda closed his eyes again. In the darkness of his mind, he saw only one thing. A red symbol burning on black banners. Then it disappeared. Yoda opened his eyes. "Yes," he said quietly. "But found us it has not." Mace stepped closer. "Then we should search for it." Yoda stared into the sky. "Careful we must be. Search for a hidden thing, and hidden thing may search back." Neither Jedi spoke after that. Because for the first time in generations, the Jedi had felt something in the Force that was not Sith, not Jedi, not Republic, not Separatist. Something else. Something waiting. And on Skywalker, deep within his throne room, Anakin suddenly lifted his head. Vaila noticed at once. "My lord." Anakin's eyes narrowed. For a moment he had felt it. A touch. Distant. Ancient. Careful. Someone had brushed against the edge of his silence. The Jedi. Not enough to find him. Not enough to know his name. But enough to prove they were listening. Slowly, Anakin smiled. "So," he whispered, "they finally felt the wind before the storm." Vaila stepped forward. Should we prepare for attack? Anakin turned toward the window. Outside, the capital of Skywalker shone beneath the twin suns. His people moved through paradise. His soldiers trained in the plazas. His banners flew from every tower. "No," he said, "not attack." His reflection stared back at him from the glass. Young, powerful, unseen no longer by fate. We prepare for discovery. He placed one hand against the window. The barrier around the planet shimmered faintly in the sky, beautiful and terrifying. The Jedi will search. The Sith will sense their fear. The Republic will keep rotting. The war will come. His hand closed into a fist. And when they finally find Skywalker, they will not find a hidden world. He turned back toward Vaila. They will find the capital of an empire. What if Anakin Skywalker made the empire? For years, the world once known as Tatooine had been silent. To the galaxy, it had become a mystery whispered about in smugglers' dens, Republic listening posts, Jedi archives, and Hutt-controlled worlds that no longer felt as powerful as they once had. Ships that had tried to approach the desert planet had disappeared from scanners. Communications had gone dead. Trade routes had bent around the system like fearful animals avoiding the scent of a predator. Some said the planet had been destroyed. Some said the Hutts had hidden it behind illegal technology. Some said the Force itself had swallowed it. None of them knew the truth. Tatooine had not been destroyed. It had been reborn. And now, after years of silence, Anakin Skywalker stood at the edge of his palace balcony, looking up at the shimmering barrier that had covered his world since the day he took it. The sky above Skywalker glowed faintly, wrapped in invisible power. Beyond it waited the galaxy, the Republic, the Jedi, the Sith, the criminals, the cowards, the kings and senators who believed their systems mattered because no one stronger had yet challenged them. Anakin had been patient. He had built his capital. He had raised his army. He had trained his sky warriors. He had turned freed slaves into citizens, citizens into believers, and believers into the foundation of an empire unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Now the waiting was over. Behind him stood Vaila Ren, commander of his First Force Legion. Beside her waited the highest ministers of Skywalker, men and women dressed in black, silver, and red, each one wearing the Empire of Skywalker's symbol over their hearts. Shmi Skywalker stood apart from them. She watched her son quietly. Anakin no longer wore the face of a child. Through his command of the Force, he had changed himself. His body had grown into the form of a man in his 20s, tall, strong, and terrifyingly controlled. His dark hair fell around a sharper face. His eyes no longer carried the innocence of youth. They glowed faintly with deep purple power, not the yellow-red fire of the Sith, but something colder, stranger, and entirely his own. He had not aged normally. He had chosen what he wished to become. The galaxy would expect a child ruler. They would find an emperor. Vaila stepped forward. "My lord," she said. "The barrier towers are ready." Anakin did not turn. "And the fleet?" "Hidden beneath the oceans as commanded. The first will remain unseen. The sky warriors?" "Stationed at every arrival point." Anakin looked up at the sky. For years, he had hidden his world from the galaxy. For years, the Jedi had only felt fragments of him. For years, the Sith had remained blind. Now he wanted them to see. Not everything. Only enough to make them afraid. He raised one hand. Across the entire planet, the air changed. In the capital, citizens stopped in the streets and looked upward. Children playing beside fountains grew silent. Soldiers marching across bridges halted in perfect formation. Ships hovering between towers paused in the sky as if the world itself was holding its breath. The twin suns burned above them. Then the barrier began to open. It did not collapse. It obeyed. A great shimmer moved across the heavens, spreading from horizon to horizon. The invisible wall that had sealed Skywalker away for years began to dissolve into strands of silver and purple light. The sky cracked open, not with violence, but with majesty, as if the universe itself had been ordered to make way for Anakin Skywalker. The people below watched in awe. Some wept, some bowed, some whispered prayers. Anakin lowered his hand. The barrier was gone. Skywalker was revealed. Across the galaxy, alarms screamed. Republic scanners blinked as an entire system returned to view. Long-dead trade beacons activated. Navigation charts violently corrected themselves. Military stations, merchant guilds, Hutt outposts, and Jedi observatories all turned their attention toward a world that should have been there but was not. Because Tatooine was gone. The desert planet listed in Republic records no longer matched anything their scanners could understand. In its place was something impossible. Planet larger than Coruscant. A world wrapped in oceans, forests, cities, mountains, rivers, and glowing energy fields. Massive orbital structures circled it like crowns. Ships moved through its upper atmosphere in disciplined formations. Great continents stretched across its surface, and at the center of the most powerful energy readings stood a capital city that dwarfed anything the Outer Rim should have been capable of building. In the Republic Senate, chaos erupted. Senators shouted over one another. Advisors rushed between chambers. Military officials demanded updated maps. Holoscreens flickered with images of the impossible world. A senator from the mid-rim stared at the display in disbelief. That is not Tatooine. Another senator leaned closer. It occupies Tatooine's coordinates. That cannot be right. Tatooine was a desert world. Barely civilized. Hutt-controlled. Then where are the Hutts? No one answered. High above Coruscant, within the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda watched the same image in silence. Mace Windu stood beside him, arms folded, his face carved with suspicion. The planet has changed, Mace said. Yoda's eyes narrowed. Changed, yes, but naturally, no. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood nearby, younger than the others but already carrying the thoughtful caution that defined him. The energy readings are unlike anything I've seen, Obi-Wan said. The force around the planet is covered. Not hidden anymore, but controlled. Mace looked toward him. Controlled by whom? The chamber grew silent. Then a Republic transmission came through. The Senate had already decided. Ambassadors would be sent to the newly revealed planet. The mission would be peaceful, diplomatic, careful, but the Jedi would accompany them, not openly as spies, officially as protectors. Yoda watched the image of Skywalker rotating slowly above the holoprojector. Go, you will, he said quietly. Mace turned to him. You want Jedi on the delegation? Yoda nodded. Answers we need. Obi-Wan looked troubled. And if whoever rules this world refuses to give them? Yoda's ears lowered. Then listen, you must. Watch, you must. But provoke them, you must not. Mace frowned. You think they're dangerous? Yoda did not answer at first. On the holoprojection, the new planet glowed with impossible life. Then, for one moment, Yoda saw something else. Black banners. A red starburst symbol. Purple eyes staring back from the dark. Yes, Yoda said. Dangerous. And waiting. The Republic delegation arrived 3 days later. Their ships dropped from hyperspace at the edge of the system and immediately slowed. Every person aboard fell silent. Skywalker filled the viewports. It was too large, too alive, too beautiful. Where they expected to find Tatooine's dry brown surface, they saw oceans that shone like blue glass beneath twin suns. They saw forests spreading over continents. They saw mountains wrapped in cloud. They saw cities glittering like jewels across the planet's surface. One of the Republic ambassadors, Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan, stepped closer to the glass. That's impossible, he whispered. Beside him, another official from Coruscant shook his head. Our records show Tatooine was smaller. Far smaller. The mass readings alone suggest this planet is larger than Coruscant. Obi-Wan stood behind them, eyes fixed on the world below. He felt the force around it. Not wild, not natural. Arranged, like an ocean forced to become a blade. Beside him stood a young senator from Naboo, Padme Amidala. She had joined the delegation as a representative of peaceful diplomacy, though she had not been the Senate's first choice. Some had thought her too young. Others thought her too idealistic. But Padme had insisted. If an entire world had emerged from silence, then someone had to speak to it with more than suspicion. She stared at Skywalker with wonder. "It's beautiful," she said. Obi-Wan glanced at her. "Yes," he replied. "That may be what worries me." The delegation's lead ship approached the planet. No weapons locked onto them. No warning shots fired. No hostile fleet emerged. Instead, a calm voice entered their communications. "Republic delegation, you have been expected. Follow the guided path into the capital. Any deviation will be considered disrespectful." The Coruscant official looked offended. "Disrespectful?" Bail Organa remained calm. "Reply that we accept their guidance." The ship descended through the atmosphere. As they passed through the clouds, the delegation saw the planet in full. Waterfalls dropped from floating stone platforms. Towers of black metal and white crystal rose from living forests. Great bridges stretched over rivers wide enough to swallow cities. Citizens moved through streets surrounded by gardens, fountains, statues, and banners. Everywhere, the same symbol appeared. A red starburst on black. The Empire of Skywalker. It flew from towers. It marked ships. It was carved into armor. It glowed above palace gates. Padme studied it carefully. "That symbol," she said. "It's everywhere." Obi-Wan nodded. Empires often understand the power of symbols. She looked at him. "Do you think that's what this is?" Obi-Wan's expression darkened. "I think we're about to find out." Their ship landed on a platform larger than some Republic districts. The moment the ramp lowered, warm air touched their faces. It did not smell like desert dust. It smelled like rain, stone, flowers, and something metallic beneath it all. A single ambassador waited for them. He was dressed in long black and silver robes. The Empire of Skywalker symbol displayed across his chest. His posture was calm, his expression unreadable. Behind him stood two warriors. They wore dark armor with red markings, their faces partially hidden beneath sleek helmets. No blasters hung at their sides, no visible weapons at all. But Obi-Wan felt them immediately. Force-sensitive. Both of them. Not Jedi. Not Sith. Something else. The ambassador bowed slightly. "Welcome to Skywalker," he said. "I am Ambassador Kale Voss, voice of the throne." Bail Organa stepped forward and returned the bow. "I am Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan. We come on behalf of the Galactic Republic." Kale's eyes moved across the delegation. "We know who you are." The Coruscant official stiffened. "Then you understand this world has appeared in a Republic-charted system without explanation." Kale looked at him. "This world did not appear. It was always here. Your records were simply outdated." The official's face tightened. "This was Tatooine." Kale's voice remained even. "Tatooine is a dead name." Silence followed. Padme stepped forward gently, trying to soften the tension. "And now," Kale looked at her. "Now this is Skywalker." The two armored warriors behind him shifted slightly. Kale turned his head toward them. "These are Sky Warriors of the Empire. They will accompany us during your visit." Obi-Wan's eyes narrowed. "Sky Warriors?" One of the warriors turned toward him. "Yes, Jedi." The word struck the air like a blade. The delegation went still. Obi-Wan did not move, but his hand almost went to where his lightsaber was hidden beneath his robes. Kale watched him calmly. "There is no need for alarm. Your presence was expected as well." Bail glanced at Obi-Wan. Padme looked between them, realizing at once that the people of Skywalker knew far more than they should. Obi-Wan kept his voice controlled. "You recognized us quickly," the second Sky Warrior spoke. "We were trained to see what others hide." Obi-Wan held their gaze. "And who trained you?" Kale smiled faintly. "Our Emperor." The delegation was escorted through the capital. Every step revealed more power. The streets were impossibly clean. The people were well-dressed, well-fed, and confident. There were no beggars, no slave markets, no hut symbols, no signs of the poverty that once defined Tatooine. Yet there was also no disorder. Soldiers stood on every high platform. Sky warriors watched from balconies. Patrol ships moved in perfect silence overhead. Citizens bowed whenever the imperial banners passed. Padme noticed the way they bowed. Some with love, some with fear, most with both. She leaned closer to Bail as they walked. "This place is beautiful," she whispered. Bail nodded slightly, and heavily controlled. Obi-Wan listened without speaking. He could feel hundreds of Force-sensitive minds around him. Some weak, some strong, all disciplined, all shielded. It should not have been possible. The Jedi had spent thousands of years finding and training Force-sensitive children across the Republic. Yet here, on a world thought to be poor and forgotten, an entire order had formed in silence. The palace rose before them. It was unlike anything on Coruscant. Not a building, a statement, a colossal structure of black stone, white crystal, and living green walls, rising above the capital like a mountain shaped into a throne. Water flowed from its sides into rivers below. Massive banners hung from its towers, each one marked with the Empire of Skywalker symbol. At the palace gates, hundreds of soldiers stood in formation. The delegation entered. Inside, the halls were vast and quiet. Statues lined the walls, showing broken chains, raised hands, burning suns, and a young figure standing over fallen huts. Padme slowed as she looked at one of the statues. It showed slaves kneeling around a boy. No, not kneeling, being freed. Their chains were breaking. Padme looked at Kale. "Your emperor freed them?" Kale stopped. "Our emperor freed all of us." There was no doubt in his voice, no political loyalty, no rehearsed answer. Faith that unsettled Padme more than suspicion would have. At last, they reached the throne room. The doors opened. The chamber beyond was enormous, stretching upward into shadow and light. Its floor was polished black stone. Its walls carried flowing rivers of silver crystal. At the far end stood a throne beneath the red symbol of the Empire of Skywalker, and seated upon it was Anakin Skywalker. Padme stopped breathing for a moment. She had expected many things: an old warlord, a Hutt replacement, a hidden council, a child king surrounded by advisors. She had not expected him. He looked young, perhaps in his 20s, but there was something ancient in the way he sat. His dark armor reflected the palace light. A black cloak fell from his shoulders. His purple eyes watched the delegation with calm amusement, as if he had already measured every soul in the room before they took their first step inside. The Sky Warriors knelt. Kale bowed. The Republic delegation stood frozen. Anakin leaned back slightly on the throne. Then he smiled. "Well," he said, his voice smooth and dangerous. "Hello there, Jedi." Obi-Wan's face tightened. The words had been casual, almost playful, but the meaning was clear. They had been exposed instantly. Bail Organa glanced toward Obi-Wan, then back to the throne. Padme studied Anakin carefully. He did not look surprised by them. He looked entertained. Obi-Wan stepped forward. "Emperor Skywalker, I presume." Anakin's smile deepened. "Presume? No, you already know." Obi-Wan kept his expression calm. "We were not aware our identities had been announced." "They were not." Anakin stood. The moment he rose, the entire room seemed to shift around him. The Force gathered, not violently, but naturally, as if it belonged wherever he moved. "You carry yourselves differently," Anakin said. "You hide your weapons beneath diplomacy. You observe exits before artwork. You listen to the Force before you listen to people. And your minds are disciplined enough to be Jedi, but not disciplined enough to disappear from me." The chamber fell silent. The Coruscant official swallowed. Anakin descended the steps from his throne. "You are welcome to stay for a while," he said. "Skywalker does not fear guests." Bail Organa bowed his head respectfully. "We are grateful for your hospitality, Emperor." The Republic only wishes to understand what has happened here. Anakin stopped before them. The Republic wishes to understand why a world it ignored became greater without it. The words struck harder than an insult because they were spoken with complete calm. Bail did not deny it. Padme stepped forward. We were told the ruler of this planet was a child. Anakin turned his eyes to her. For the first time since they entered, his expression changed. Only slightly, but enough. He looked at Padme not like a threat, not like a diplomat, not like another piece on the board. He looked at her as if the room had shifted. As I was, he said. Padme held his gaze. And now, Anakin looked down at his own hand, then flexed his fingers. The Force gives life shape. Most beings accept the shape time gives them. I do not. Obi-Wan frowned. You altered your own age? Anakin looked at him. I chose the body that best suited my rule. The delegation stared at him. Even the Coruscant official, who had tried to appear superior since arriving, now looked pale. That is impossible, he whispered. Anakin glanced at him. Many things are impossible until someone does them. Obi-Wan's voice lowered. Changing the body through the Force at that level. It would require control beyond anything recorded in Jedi teaching. Anakin tilted his head slightly. That is because Jedi teaching ends where fear begins. Obi-Wan did not answer. Padme looked at Anakin with a mixture of caution and fascination. Does that mean, she asked slowly, that you are immortal? For a moment, Anakin simply stared at her. Then he laughed. It was not a cruel laugh. Not this time. It was genuine, almost amused, as though she had asked him something no one else had dared to consider. Immortal, he repeated. His smile remained. I never thought about it like that. Padme smiled softly despite herself. Most people would. I am not most people. No, she said quietly. I can see that. Something passed between them. Small, brief, but real. Obi-Wan noticed. So did Anakin. So did Padme. The conversation moved to the council chamber, where the delegation was offered food, water, and seats beneath open arches overlooking the capital. Skywalker spread below them in impossible beauty. Rivers moved through the city like veins of light. Military formations marched on distant platforms. Children trained under teachers in courtyards. Ships passed between towers carrying the red emblem of the Empire. Bail began the formal discussion. The Republic is concerned by the disappearance of Tatooine and the emergence of Skywalker as a major power in the Outer Rim. Anakin sat across from them, calm and unreadable. Tatooine did not disappear. It evolved. The Hutts controlled this world. The Hutts died. The words were simple, cold. The delegation went quiet. The Coruscant official leaned forward. You admit to overthrowing them? Anakin looked at him. I admit to ending slavery. Padme's expression softened. You freed the slaves here? I broke every chain on this planet. Her voice lowered. All of them. All of them. For the first time, Padme looked around the palace differently. Not just as a symbol of power, as the result of liberation. Bail folded his hands. That is no small thing. Many in the Senate have tried to challenge slavery in the Outer Rim, but they failed, Anakin said. Bail paused. Anakin leaned forward. They debated while children were sold. They drafted proposals while families were separated. They waited for permission from those who profited from suffering. His purple eyes hardened. I did not wait. Padme looked at him. Violence can free people, but it can also create new chains. Anakin turned to her. Are my people chained? She did not answer immediately. Below the balcony, thousands moved through the city freely. Markets thrived. Families laughed. Former slaves lived in towers and homes built from the wealth once hoarded by the Hutts. No, Padme admitted. But they are afraid of you. Anakin's gaze did not waver. They are alive because of me. That does not answer what I said. For the first time, some of Anakin's advisors looked offended. A sky warrior shifted near the wall, but Anakin raised one finger slightly. Everyone stilled. He studied Padme with growing interest. Others bowed. Others praised. Others feared. She challenged, and she did it without trembling. "You speak boldly for a guest," Anakin said. Padme lifted her chin. "I speak honestly." Anakin's smile returned. "Good." Obi-Wan watched the exchange carefully. He sensed danger in Anakin, but not the kind he had expected. The dark side was present, yes, but so was light. Compassion twisted with control. Justice fused with domination. Love buried beneath ambition. Anakin was not Sith. That frightened Obi-Wan more. A Sith could be named. A Sith could be understood. Anakin Skywalker was something unknown. The discussion turned to the wars spreading through nearby systems. The Republic described growing unrest, separatist movements, trade disputes, piracy, corporate armies, and the rising fear of full-scale conflict. Anakin listened silently. When they finished, he stood and walked toward the balcony. "The Republic is already at war," he said. Bail frowned. "Not officially." Anakin looked back. "Official words are how weak governments pretend death has not begun." Obi-Wan stepped forward. "You believe war is inevitable?" "I know it is." Padme stood as well. "Then help us prevent it." Anakin looked at her. There it was again, that strange pause, as if he heard her voice differently from everyone else's. "Prevent it?" he asked. "Yes, if your world is as powerful as it appears, if your people truly want peace after suffering so much, then help us stop the galaxy from falling apart." Anakin walked slowly back toward her. And what would the Republic offer Skywalker in return? Padme did not step away. Recognition, diplomacy, trade, a place in the galactic conversation. Anakin's eyes narrowed slightly. "A place." His voice became quieter. "I do not need anyone to give me a place." Padme realized her mistake. "I did not mean it like that." "No," Anakin said. "You did not. That is why I am still listening." Bail watched carefully, saying nothing. Obi-Wan was beginning to understand something important. Anakin did not care for the Republic. He did not respect the Jedi. He did not fear the Senate. But Padme had his attention. That made her powerful in this room, and possibly in danger. Anakin turned to the delegation. "I will go with you." The room went still. Vaila, standing near the entrance, looked sharply toward him. "My lord." Anakin did not look at her. "I will see Coruscant. I will see the Senate. I will see the Jedi Temple. I will see this dying Republic with my own eyes." The Coruscant official looked both relieved and terrified. "That is unexpected, Emperor Skywalker." Anakin ignored him. Bail bowed slightly. "The Senate will receive you formally." "I am not going to be received," Anakin said. "I am going to observe." Obi-Wan crossed his arms. "And your army?" "Stays here." That answer surprised them. Anakin looked toward Vaila. "Skywalker remains guarded. The fleet remains hidden. The Sky Warriors remain ready." Vaila bowed, though her concern was visible. "As you command." Padme stepped closer. "You would leave your empire after revealing it to the galaxy?" Anakin looked at her. "I built this world to stand without me standing over every stone." "That sounds like trust." "It is control done properly." Padme almost smiled. "You make even trust sound like a weapon." Anakin leaned slightly closer. "Everything is a weapon if one understands how to use it." Padme met his gaze. "And what am I?" The chamber went silent. Even Obi-Wan looked at her in surprise. Anakin's expression softened, but only enough for her to notice. "You," he said, "are the first honest voice the Republic has sent me." Padme held his stare. "And you are the most dangerous man I have ever met." Anakin smiled. "Then we are both learning." Later, as the delegation prepared to leave, Anakin walked with them through the palace gardens. The sky had turned gold above the city. Water moved softly through channels of carved stone. Strange flowers glowed faintly beneath the fading light. Padme walked beside him, slightly apart from the others. For once, Anakin's guards kept their distance. She looked at the gardens around them. It's hard to imagine this was once Tatooine. Anakin's voice was quieter now. That was the point. You hated it that much? I hated what it allowed. Padme studied him. And what did it allow? Anakin looked toward the horizon. People pretending suffering was normal. Padme's expression changed. There was something in that answer she understood. Not the violence, not the Empire, but the refusal to accept suffering as natural. My people on Naboo believe beauty matters, she said. Not because it hides pain, but because it reminds us life can be better. Anakin looked at her. That is why you looked at my world differently. She smiled gently. I looked at it as something wounded that healed. Anakin was silent for a long moment. Then he said, no one has ever described it that way. What do they call it? A miracle, a weapon, a throne, a warning. And what do you call it? Anakin looked across Skywalker, his purple eyes reflecting the city lights. Mine. Padme did not look away from him. That may be the problem. He turned to her slowly. Most people would have apologized. Padme did not. Anakin liked that. Before he could answer, the others approached. Obi-Wan's eyes moved between them, cautious but polite. We are ready to depart, Obi-Wan said. Anakin looked at him. I know. Obi-Wan frowned slightly. Of course. Anakin walked toward the landing platform, where a Skywalker vessel waited beside the Republic ship. It was smaller than his hidden warships, but far more advanced than anything the delegation expected. Its black hull reflected the sunset, and the Empire of Skywalker symbol glowed red along its side. Vaila waited at the ramp. Her voice was low. My lord, I should accompany you. No. My place is at your side. Your place is protecting my world. Vaila lowered her head. And if the Republic tries to keep you? Anakin stopped. The air around them tightened. Then he looked back at her. Then the Republic dies sooner than planned. Vaila bowed. As you command, Emperor. Shmi stood near the platform. Watching him with worry, she did not try to hide. Anakin approached her. For a moment, the Emperor was gone. Only her son remained. You don't have to go, she said softly. Yes, I do. The galaxy changes people. Anakin smiled faintly. Then it should fear what I will change it into. Shmi touched his face. Despite everything, he allowed it. Be careful, Ani. His expression shifted at the name. I will return. I know you can, she said. That is not what worries me. Anakin looked at her for a moment, then turned away. As he walked toward the ship, Padme watched him. Power surrounded him like a storm hidden inside human skin. He was terrifying, arrogant, brilliant, dangerous beyond reason. And yet, when his mother touched his face, he had gone still like someone remembering he was not only a ruler. Padme did not know what to make of him. That made her want to understand him more. The ships rose from Skywalker as the capital watched. Crowds filled balconies and streets. Soldiers stood in formation. Sky warriors knelt as their emperor ascended toward the stars. The banners of the Empire of Skywalker moved in the wind, red symbols burning against black cloth. For the first time in years, Anakin left his world. He passed through the atmosphere and into space. No barrier stopped him now. The galaxy opened before him, vast, broken, waiting. In the Republic ship nearby, Obi-Wan stood at the viewport and watched Anakin's vessel fly alongside them. Bail joined him. What do you think of him? Bail asked. Obi-Wan was quiet for a long moment. He is not what I expected. That was not my question. Obi-Wan looked at the stars. I think the Republic wanted to discover a planet. His face darkened. Instead, we discovered an emperor. In her own quarters, Padme stood alone, thinking of purple eyes, impossible power, and a world born from sand and suffering. She knew Anakin Skywalker was dangerous. She knew his empire could become a threat unlike anything the Republic had faced. But she had also seen the freed people, the children, The water, the gardens, the absence of chains. A monster would not have built that. Would he? On the Skywalker vessel, Anakin sat in silence as Coruscant's coordinates appeared before him. The capital of the Republic, the heart of politics, the hiding place of the Jedi, and somewhere within it, he knew, the hidden Sith waited as well. Anakin smiled faintly. The galaxy had finally found Skywalker. Now Skywalker was coming to the galaxy. What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? Coruscant did not look like a world. It looked like a machine pretending to be alive. From orbit, the entire planet burned with city lights. Towers stabbed through layers of cloud. Traffic lanes twisted around skyscrapers like rivers of fire. Senate districts, military platforms, industrial levels, markets, temples, and hidden underworlds all stacked on top of each other until the planet itself seemed buried beneath its own ambition. Anakin Skywalker stood at the viewport of his ship and watched it grow larger. The capital of the Republic, the throne of politicians, the sanctuary of the Jedi, the hiding place of the Sith. His purple eyes reflected the endless lights below. Behind him, 2 Sky Warriors stood in silence. They had been chosen to accompany him, not because Anakin needed protection, but because symbols mattered. He would not arrive alone like a guest begging for recognition. He would arrive as a ruler, with warriors of his own order beside him and the Empire of Skywalker symbol glowing on their armor. The Republic would see discipline. The Jedi would see competition. The Sith would see a threat. That was exactly what Anakin wanted. A transmission crackled through the chamber. Emperor Skywalker, this is Coruscant Diplomatic Control. You are cleared for Senate Landing Platform 7. Republic escorts will guide your descent. One of the Sky Warriors looked toward Anakin. My lord. Anakin kept his eyes on the planet. Let them guide us. The warrior bowed. As you command. The ship angled downward, entering Coruscant's atmosphere beside the Republic delegation. Flames rolled across the viewport, then faded as the city swallowed them whole. Tower after tower rushed past. The scale of the planet was impressive, but not beautiful to Anakin. Coruscant had no horizon, no open sky, no living rivers, no forests moving in the wind. It was power without breath. A world that had conquered itself and called the result civilization. Padmé Amidala stood aboard the Republic vessel nearby, looking through her own viewport as Anakin's black ship descended beside them. Its design was unlike anything in the Republic fleet. Sleek, dark, elegant, almost predatory. Along its hull glowed the red starburst emblem of the Empire of Skywalker. Bail Organa stepped beside her. You have been quiet since we left Skywalker. Padmé did not look away from the ship. There is a lot to think about. Bail followed her gaze. About the planet or about him? Padmé was silent for a moment. Both. Bail's voice softened. He is dangerous, Padmé. I know. Do you? She finally looked at him. Yes, but danger alone does not explain him. Bail studied her carefully. Be careful not to confuse understanding with trust. Padmé looked back at the ship. I don't trust him. But even as she said it, she knew the answer was not that simple. Anakin Skywalker had terrified her. He had challenged everything she believed about government, freedom, diplomacy, and power. Yet he had also freed an entire world when the Republic had failed to act. He had built beauty from suffering. He had turned a slave planet into a paradise. That did not make him good, but it made him impossible to dismiss as evil, and that was what troubled her most. The landing platform was crowded before Anakin's ship even touched down. Senate guards lined the edges. Republic officials waited in formal robes. News droids hovered at a distance, eager to capture the first public image of the ruler of the impossible planet. Jedi stood among the delegation, calm but watchful. Obi-Wan Kenobi was there. Mace Windu was there. And at the center, leaning on his cane with ancient stillness, stood Master Yoda. The black ship landed without a sound. Steam rolled across the platform. The ramp lowered. For several seconds, no one emerged. Then two Sky Warriors stepped out first. Their armor was black with silver lines, marked by the red emblem of Skywalker. Their faces were hidden behind smooth helmets. They carried no visible weapons, but every Jedi on the platform felt the Force move around them. Controlled, trained, unfamiliar. Mace Windu's expression darkened. "Force users," he said quietly. Obi-Wan nodded. "Yes. Not Jedi. No." Yoda said nothing. His eyes remained fixed on the ramp. Then Anakin appeared. The platform fell silent. He stepped into the Coruscant light wearing black armor beneath a dark cloak, the Empire of Skywalker symbol set into his chest and shoulder. His face was calm, young, and sharp, but his presence felt impossibly heavy, like a storm held inside human form. His purple eyes moved across the platform, taking in every guard, every diplomat, every Jedi. He did not bow. He did not smile. He simply stood there, and Coruscant seemed to become quieter around him. The lead Republic official forced himself forward. "Emperor Skywalker, welcome to Coruscant. The Senate extends its formal greetings." Anakin looked at him. "The Senate extends curiosity. Greetings are merely the clothing it wears." The official went pale. A few senators shifted uncomfortably. Padme lowered her gaze for a moment, hiding the smallest hint of a smile. Obi-Wan noticed. So did Anakin. His eyes moved to her, and for the first time since landing, some of the coldness in his expression eased. "Senator Amidala," he said, "Emperor Skywalker, you look less afraid than the others. I have had more time to practice." Anakin's mouth curved slightly. "Good." Mace stepped forward before the exchange could continue. "Emperor Skywalker." Anakin turned to him. Mace's stare was direct, unflinching. "I am Master Mace Windu of the Jedi Council." "I know." Mace paused. "You know much for someone hidden from the galaxy." "I know enough." Yoda finally stepped forward. The air changed. The ancient Jedi Master looked small beside Anakin, but no one on the platform doubted the weight of his presence. His eyes were deep, patient, and cautious. Anakin looked down at him. For the first time, he felt the true age of the Jedi. Not the old man's body, the centuries behind him. Yoda studied Anakin in silence, then spoke. "Powerful you are." Anakin's gaze remained steady. "Yes." Several Republic officials looked shocked by the answer. Yoda tilted his head. "Modest you are not. Modesty is often used by the powerful to make the weak feel comfortable." Yoda's ears lowered slightly. "And comfort them you do not wish to?" Anakin glanced around the platform. "No." Obi-Wan watched carefully. This was not simple arrogance. Anakin spoke as if he had no interest in pretending to be less than he was. He saw false humility as another form of lying. Yoda seemed to understand that too. "Much to discuss we have," Yoda said. Anakin looked toward the towering Senate building in the distance. "Then let the Republic speak." The walk into the Senate district became a spectacle. News droids captured every step. Citizens stopped on bridges and balconies to watch. Some whispered, some pointed, some looked at the Sky Warriors with fear. Others stared at Anakin like he was a myth stepping out of the Outer Rim. The story had already spread. Tatooine was gone. Skywalker had risen. Its ruler had come to Coruscant. By the time Anakin reached the Senate chamber, thousands of systems were watching. The Galactic Senate was massive, a vast circular chamber filled with floating platforms representing worlds, sectors, corporations, guilds, and alliances. At its center stood the Supreme Chancellor's podium. Anakin entered with the Republic delegation, his Sky Warriors following behind him. The chamber erupted. Voices rose from every direction. Some demanded answers. Some demanded recognition. Some demanded investigation. Some accused Skywalker of illegal expansion, planetary manipulation, Hutt slaughter, military secrecy, and unlawful sovereignty. Anakin listened to it all without emotion. Padme stood near her Naboo platform, watching him from across the chamber. Bail Organa remained close, his expression troubled. At the center, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine raised his hands for silence. The chamber slowly quieted. Palpatine's face carried the practiced warmth of a man who had spent years making ambition look like kindness. "Emperor Skywalker," he said, his voice echoing through the Senate, "the Republic welcomes you. Your world's sudden return to galactic visibility has caused understandable concern. We hope today will be the beginning of peaceful relations." Anakin looked at him. The moment their eyes met, something shifted. Not visibly, not to the Senate, but in the Force the air sharpened. Palpatine smiled politely. Anakin did not. There he is, the hidden Sith. Anakin felt it beneath the Chancellor's mask. Carefully buried darkness, a mind layered with deception, a hunger older and more patient than the shouting senators around him. Palpatine was not merely a politician. He was a predator wearing the Republic as skin. Palpatine felt something too. He had expected power. He had expected ambition. He had not expected this. Anakin Skywalker was not a Jedi mistake. Not a Sith apprentice waiting to be shaped. Not a confused young ruler desperate for guidance. He was a storm that had grown without either order touching him. For the first time in many years, Darth Sidious felt genuine caution. And beneath that caution, desire. A being like this could change everything. If controlled, if turned, if claimed. Palpatine smiled a little wider. Anakin saw it, and hated him instantly. "Peaceful relations," Anakin repeated. Palpatine nodded. "That is our hope. The Republic hopes for many things," Anakin said. "It hopes slavery will end without action. It hopes war will not arrive while armies are built in secret. It hopes corruption can be managed instead of cut out. It hopes systems will remain loyal while they are ignored, taxed, and abandoned." The Senate chamber stirred. Palpatine's expression remained calm, but his eyes narrowed slightly. Anakin stepped forward. "Hope is not leadership," several senators shouted at once. The Chancellor lifted a hand again. "Emperor Skywalker, you speak strongly for a guest in this chamber." Anakin turned slowly, looking across the thousands of platforms. "I am not here as a guest. I am here as proof of your failure." The chamber exploded. Senators rose from their seats. Some shouted insults. Others demanded he be removed. Security forces tightened around the lower levels. The Jedi watched in silence, though Mace Windu looked ready to intervene. Anakin did not raise his voice. He did not need to. "You lost Tatooine long before I took it," he said. "You lost it when slaves were sold under your laws and no one came. You lost it when the Hutts ruled openly and the Republic looked away. You lost it when suffering became inconvenient to discuss." His purple eyes moved across the Senate. "I did what you would not." A senator from a core world platform shouted, "You murdered the Hutts." Anakin looked at him. "Yes." The answer silenced half the chamber. The senator swallowed. Anakin continued, "And if any of their kind return to Skywalker seeking chains, I will murder them too." The silence became colder. Padme stared at him, heart tightening. She hated the ease with which he said it. Yet she remembered the freed people of Skywalker, the broken chains, the children born without collars around their necks. The Senate had no answer for that, because the Republic had failed them, and everyone knew it. Palpatine leaned forward, voice smooth. "Your passion for your people is admirable, but the Republic must know your intentions. Do you seek membership? Alliance? Independence?" Anakin finally looked back at him. "Recognition." Palpatine's smile returned. "As an independent government? As an empire?" The word moved through the chamber like thunder. Anakin stood still beneath the weight of thousands of stares. "The Empire of Skywalker claims sovereignty over its world, its people, its orbit, and all territory within its defended space. We will trade if trade benefits us. We will speak if words matter. We will fight if threatened." He paused. "And we will never kneel." No one spoke. Then Padme stood. All eyes moved toward her platform. Her voice carried clearly. The Senate may not like Emperor Skywalker's words, but we cannot ignore the truth within them. Anakin turned toward her. Padme met his gaze, then looked back to the chamber. The Republic failed Tatooine. It failed the slaves there. It allowed the Hutts to operate beyond accountability because the world was poor, distant, and inconvenient. If Skywalker now stands free because its people were liberated, then our first response should not be wounded pride. A senator shouted, "They are militarized." Padme answered instantly, "So are many Republic worlds." Another voice cried, "They are ruled by one man." Padme's eyes sharpened, and many here seem more offended by that than by the slavery that existed before him. The chamber quieted again. Anakin watched her, not with amusement now, with something deeper. She had not defended him blindly. She had not excused everything, but she had forced the Senate to look at itself. And for that, he admired her. Palpatine also watched Padme. For a moment, his smile did not reach his eyes. A dangerous connection, he thought. Very dangerous. After the Senate session ended, the Republic moved quickly to contain the political firestorm. Officially, Skywalker would be granted temporary diplomatic recognition pending further review. Unofficially, every major faction in the galaxy began investigating it. The Jedi requested a private meeting. Anakin accepted, not because he respected them, because he wanted to see their temple. The Jedi Temple rose above Coruscant like an ancient monument to restraint. Its towers were calm, symmetrical, and severe. Compared to the wild beauty of Skywalker's palace, it felt quiet, controlled, old. Anakin walked through its halls with Obi-Wan, Mace, Yoda, and his 2 Sky Warriors. Jedi turned to look as he passed. Younglings paused their training. Knights whispered. Masters watched with careful eyes. Anakin felt them all. So many Force users. So much potential. So much restraint. It was almost offensive. A group of younglings stood near a training chamber, staring openly at him. One small child looked at the Empire of Skywalker symbol on his armor. "Are you a Sith?" the child asked. The nearby Jedi instructor looked horrified. "Lyra!" Anakin stopped. The hall went silent. He looked down at the child. "No." The youngling swallowed. "Are you a Jedi?" "No." "Then what are you?" Anakin crouched slightly, bringing himself closer to her height. "I am what happens when power is not taught to fear itself." The child frowned, not fully understanding. Anakin stood and continued walking. Obi-Wan watched him with concern. "You speak dangerously around children." Anakin did not look at him. "I speak honestly. You should try it." Mace's voice hardened. "The Jedi teach discipline for a reason." Anakin stopped in the center of the hall. Around them, several Jedi paused. "Yes," Anakin said. "You teach children to cut away attachment, to bury fear, to deny anger, to distrust love. Then you wonder why darkness grows in the spaces you force them to hide." Mace stepped closer. "And what do you teach your Sky Warriors?" Anakin turned to him. "To master everything. Fear, anger, love, pain, loyalty, power. Nothing is forbidden. Only weakness is." Mace's eyes narrowed. "That path leads to tyranny." Anakin's gaze sharpened. "And your path leads to servants who call themselves guardians while politicians decide who deserves saving." Obi-Wan moved slightly between them. Perhaps this conversation would be better held in the council chamber. Anakin smiled faintly. "Of course, that is where Jedi prefer their truths." Seated and surrounded, the council chamber was waiting. Masters sat in a circle, their faces calm, though the force around them was not. Anakin stood in the center with his Sky Warriors behind him. Yoda remained seated. Mace stood. Obi-Wan watched from near the doorway. The questions began carefully. How had Anakin hidden Skywalker? How had he trained Force-sensitive citizens? How had he transformed the planet? How had he altered his own body? Where had he learned? Who had taught him? Anakin answered only what he wished. "I taught myself." The council did not like that answer. A female Jedi Master leaned forward. No one teaches themselves that level of control. Anakin looked at her. Then your experience is limited. Mace crossed his arms. You possess knowledge that could be dangerous. So do you. The Jedi protect knowledge from misuse. No, Anakin said. You hide knowledge because you fear what others may become with it. Yoda watched him closely. Fear you speak of often, because it rules this temple. Several Jedi shifted. Anakin stepped slowly around the center of the chamber. You fear the dark side. You fear attachment. You fear ambition. You fear those who do not obey your code. You even fear yourselves. He looked toward the windows out at Coruscant. And while you sit here fearing what power may become, the Sith have already placed themselves at the heart of your republic. The chamber froze. Obi-Wan went still. Mace stared at him. What did you say? Anakin turned back. You heard me. Yoda's eyes narrowed. Know this you do? Yes. Mace's voice became low. Who? Anakin smiled slightly. If I tell you now, you will act before you are ready. You will strike blindly, fail publicly, and give him exactly what he wants. Mace stepped forward. What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? Palpatine had made one mistake. He believed Anakin Skywalker could be tempted like other men. He believed power was something Anakin desired because he lacked it. He believed secrets could be dangled before him like jewels. He believed Padme could become a chain, fear could become a leash, and ambition could become a doorway through which the Sith could enter. But Anakin did not need a master. He did not need permission. He did not need the Sith. And when the sun disappeared behind the endless towers of Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker finally decided that Darth Sidious had lived long enough. The Chancellor's office was quiet that night. Too quiet. Coruscant never truly slept, but high above the Senate district, behind layers of security, political power, and hidden darkness, Palpatine sat alone in his private chamber. The lights were dim. The city burned beyond the windows. Holomaps hovered in the air around him, showing military routes, political loyalties, emergency powers, secret facilities, and worlds already positioned like pieces on a board. The Republic thought the Chancellor was protecting it. The Jedi suspected he was hiding something. The Sith knew he was close to victory. Palpatine smiled to himself as he studied the galaxy. War was coming. The Republic would beg for security. The Jedi would be forced onto battlefields. Fear would turn democracy into obedience. And when the time was right, the galaxy would kneel. Not to the Republic. Not to the Jedi. To him. Then the lights flickered. Palpatine's smile faded. He did not turn at first. He simply waited, fingers resting lightly on the arms of his chair. You entered dangerous places without invitation, he said. Behind him, the shadows moved. Anakin Skywalker stepped out of the darkness. No guards, no sky warriors, no escort. Only black armor, a dark cloak, and purple eyes glowing faintly in the dim chamber. Palpatine turned slowly. Emperor Skywalker. Anakin looked around the room. So this is where the parasite dreams. Palpatine's expression remained controlled, but the air around him sharpened. You are bold. No, Anakin said. I am done waiting. Palpatine stood. The false warmth was gone now. The old man's face remained, but something ancient and cruel looked through his eyes. The mask of the Chancellor slipped away, and Darth Sidious stood revealed in everything except appearance. You think you can threaten me in the heart of my own power? Anakin walked forward. This was never your power. It was weakness you learned how to use. Palpatine's lips curled. You understand so little. I understand enough. Do you? Palpatine said softly. You think because you shaped one world, you understand the galaxy? I have spent decades building this moment. Armies, laws, fear, loyalties. The Jedi are blind. The Senate is mine. The war is prepared. The Republic is already dead, and it does not even know it. Anakin stopped several steps away. Then I will take what you built. The room went silent. Palpatine stared at him. Then he laughed. It was not the laugh of a politician. It was the laugh of a Sith Lord who had finally heard something amusing enough to reveal his teeth. You would steal my empire? Anakin's eyes burned brighter. No. Purple energy crawled across his fingers. I will improve it. Palpatine moved first. Red lightning exploded from his hands, tearing across the office with a scream that shattered the windows and burned the air black. Anakin raised one hand, and the lightning struck an invisible wall before him, spreading across it like fire trapped behind glass. Palpatine pushed harder. The entire chamber shook. Furniture shattered. Holomaps burst into sparks. The floor cracked beneath the pressure of two impossible wills colliding. Anakin stood still. Then he closed his fingers. The red lightning folded inward. Palpatine's eyes widened. Anakin twisted his wrist. The lightning bent away from him and slammed into the ceiling, carving a burning scar through the metal. Palpatine snarled and launched himself forward, a hidden blade of red energy igniting in his hand. He moved faster than an ordinary eye could follow, crossing the chamber like a shadow with teeth. Anakin caught his wrist. The blade stopped inches from his face. For one moment, Sith and Skywalker stared at each other. Palpatine's voice dropped into a hiss. You could have ruled beside me. Anakin's grip tightened. I do not stand beside lesser things. He slammed Palpatine through the desk. The floor exploded beneath them. They fell into the lower chamber hidden below the Chancellor's office, a secret place lined with Sith relics, forbidden records, and ancient symbols carved into black stone. Palpatine twisted in midair and landed hard, cloak snapping around him as he raised both hands. The darkness answered him. The room filled with shrieking force energy. Statues cracked. Ancient artifacts glowed. The air grew heavy with centuries of hate. Anakin landed across from him. For the first time, Palpatine looked angry. Not amused. Not cautious. Angry. This galaxy is mine, Sidious said. Anakin tilted his head. Was. The Sith Lord screamed. A storm of red lightning filled the chamber. Anakin answered with purple. The two powers collided, red and violet tearing through the hidden room, breaking stone, melting metal, and sending waves of raw force energy through the foundations of the Senate building. Far above, guards paused in confusion. Jedi across Coruscant suddenly turned their heads. Sky warriors stationed near Anakin's vessel lifted their eyes toward the Chancellor's tower. Something had begun. Something terrible. Palpatine poured everything into the storm. Hate, ambition, decades of planning. The full fury of the Sith line, sharpened through betrayal after betrayal, master after master, apprentice after apprentice. Anakin felt it. Then he rejected it. He stepped forward through the lightning. Palpatine's expression shifted. Impossible. Anakin's armor burned. His cloak tore. Purple light crawled over his skin and through the veins around his eyes. But he did not stop. He moved through the Sith lightning as if walking through rain. Palpatine pushed harder. Anakin kept coming. You are not the future, Anakin said. Another step. You are not destiny. Another step. You are only a man who hid long enough to think shadows made him eternal. Palpatine tried to move back. Anakin was already there. He seized the Sith Lord by the throat and lifted him from the ground. Palpatine clawed at his wrist, lightning bursting wildly from his fingers, striking walls, relics, and the ceiling. His face twisted with hate. The Jedi will turn on you, he gasped. The Senate will fear you. The galaxy will resist you. Anakin's eyes glowed like violet fire. Then they will learn. Palpatine's voice became a rasp. You need me. Anakin leaned closer. No. His other hand rose. Black and white lightning formed first, the ancient power he had used to kill the Hutts. But now something else joined it. Purple energy wrapped around both colors, binding light, darkness, and his own will into one impossible force. Palpatine saw it and understood. For the first time in his life, Darth Sidious looked afraid. Anakin smiled. You should have stayed hidden. The lightning struck. Palpatine screamed. The chamber became pure light. The Sith Lord's body shook violently as every secret, every lie, every stolen future burned inside him. His robes caught fire. His skin cracked with violet lines. The dark side tried to hold him together, but Anakin's power did not merely kill. It erased. Palpatine's scream rose higher, then broke. His body turned to ash in Anakin's grip. Then even the ash became dust. Then even the dust vanished. Darth Sidious was gone. Not defeated. Not wounded. Gone. Anakin stood alone in the hidden Sith chamber, breathing slowly as silence returned. Around him, Palpatine's secrets remained. Hollow vaults, Sith records, military plans, clone data, weapons designs, hidden bank routes, emergency decrees, blackmail archives, secret facilities, names of loyalists, names of traitors, plans within plans within plans. Palpatine had spent decades building the foundation of an empire. Now it belonged to Anakin Skywalker. He walked toward the central archive and placed his hand against it. The machine resisted. Anakin's eyes narrowed. The resistance ended. Files opened around him in thousands of streams of red light. Every hidden project unfolded before him. An army prepared in secret. Warships under development. Political emergency powers ready to be activated. Plans to discredit the Jedi. Plans to trigger galactic war. Plans for superweapons. Anakin paused. A massive schematic appeared before him. A moon-sized battle station. A weapon capable of destroying worlds. The original design was crude in places. Brilliant, yes, but wasteful. Too slow. Too dependent on fear as spectacle. Too vulnerable. Palpatine had dreamed of a weapon that would terrify the galaxy into obedience. Anakin studied it carefully. Then he smiled. "No," he whispered. The hologram shifted. His mind moved through the design, tearing away weakness, correcting flaws, expanding power systems, replacing crude limitations with Skywalker engineering. The central weapon became more controlled. The armor became stronger. The energy core became linked to crystal conduits based on the technology hidden beneath Skywalker's oceans. One battle station became several. Not copies. Improvements. Anakin would not build a single symbol of fear. He would build a fleet of judgment. His own Death Stars. Not Palpatine's dream. When he finished, he took everything. Not physically. Completely. Every file, every hidden account, every secret order, every project, every name. He pulled it through the Force, broke the locks, copied the data, and sent it through hidden Skywalker channels. Across Coruscant, encrypted systems woke and died. Secret droids activated, then erased themselves. Palpatine's private networks collapsed into Anakin's control one by one. The Sith Lord had built a web around the Republic. Anakin became the spider at its center. Then he did something far worse. He reached into the memory of Coruscant. Not one mind. Not 10. Millions. He did not erase everything. That would break too much. The galaxy needed Palpatine to have existed. The Republic needed a chancellor to mourn. The Senate needed a victim. The people needed a story. So Anakin carved carefully. He wiped away the truth. The private meetings. The hidden smiles. The Sith presence. The knowledge of Palpatine's secret dealings. The little memories that might lead someone too close to what had truly happened. Guards forgot seeing strange shadows. Aides forgot suspicious orders. Servants forgot overheard conversations. Associates forgot hidden signals. Corrupt senators forgot the details that tied them to his darker plans. Across Coruscant, memories softened, changed, blurred. Palpatine became what the public believed he was. A chancellor, a victim, a symbol. And Anakin Skywalker became the only one who remembered the truth clearly. When the work was done, he stepped out of the hidden chamber. The halls above were filled with panic. Guards ran toward the chancellor's office, weapons drawn. Smoke poured from broken doors. Emergency lights flashed red across polished walls. Anakin emerged from the ruins carrying no weapon. His armor was scorched. His cloak was torn. Purple energy still flickered faintly around him. The guards stopped instantly. One of them raised his blaster with shaking hands. Emperor Skywalker, what happened? Anakin looked at him. The man's fear deepened. Then Anakin spoke, calm and cold. Chancellor Palpatine is dead. The words hit the corridor like a bomb. The guards stared. An aide covered her mouth. Another official stumbled backward. Anakin stepped past them. Seal the Senate building. Call the Jedi Council. Call every senator. Summon the emergency broadcast network. The captain of the guards hesitated. By whose authority? Anakin stopped. Slowly he turned. The captain's face drained of color. Anakin did not shout. He did not threaten. He simply looked at him. By the authority of the man standing between the Republic and those who murdered its chancellor. The captain swallowed, then bowed his head. Yes, Emperor Skywalker. Within the hour, the entire Senate building was surrounded. Republic guards stood shoulder to shoulder with Sky Warriors. The red emblem of the Empire of Skywalker appeared beside the blue symbols of the Republic across emergency channels. Senators rushed into the Grand Chamber, frightened, confused, and desperate for answers. The Jedi arrived quickly. Mace Windu came first, cloak moving behind him like a storm cloud. Obi-Wan followed with several knights. Yoda arrived last, his ancient eyes heavy with worry. They found Anakin standing in the center of the Senate chamber, alone, or so it appeared. Above him hovered the emergency broadcast array, connecting his image to every major world in the Republic. Mace approached him. What happened? Anakin looked at him. Palpatine is dead. Obi-Wan's face tightened. How? Anakin turned his gaze toward the Jedi. There was no hesitation in his expression. He was murdered. Mace's eyes narrowed. By whom? Anakin allowed silence to stretch. Then he looked toward the Senate platforms filling with frightened representatives. By enemies hiding inside the very heart of the Republic. Yoda stared at him, searching his face. Know this you do? Anakin looked back at him. Yes. Mace stepped closer. Then give us names. Anakin's purple eyes sharpened. In time. Mace's jaw tightened. That is not enough. No, Anakin said quietly. It is exactly enough for what comes next. Before Mace could respond, the emergency broadcast activated. The chamber lights dimmed. Anakin's image appeared across Coruscant, across the core worlds, across the mid-rim, and then through relayed channels into the outer rim. Citizens stopped in streets. Soldiers paused in barracks. Senators' homeworlds watched in fear. On Skywalker, entire cities gathered beneath giant holoscreens as their emperor stood at the center of the Republic itself. Anakin looked into the broadcast and began. Citizens of the Republic. His voice was controlled, solemn, and absolute. Tonight, your Supreme Chancellor is dead. Across the galaxy, shock spread like fire. In the Senate chamber, some senators cried out. Others lowered their heads. Some looked genuinely grief-stricken. Others looked afraid of what his death meant for their own hidden deals. Anakin continued. He was not killed by accident. He was not killed by foreign invaders. He was not killed by criminals seeking ransom. Chancellor Palpatine was murdered by a conspiracy born from the two ancient powers that have manipulated this galaxy for generations. The Jedi went still. Mace's eyes widened slightly. Obi-Wan whispered, Anakin. Anakin did not stop. The Sith and the Jedi. The chamber erupted. Jedi hands moved toward lightsabers. Senators screamed in disbelief. Yoda's face fell into something close to sorrow. Anakin raised his voice, and the Force carried it above the chaos. For too long, the people of this galaxy have been told that the Jedi are peacekeepers and the Sith are monsters hiding in shadow. But ask yourselves this. How many wars have been fought beneath their prophecies? How many governments have fallen under their guidance? How many lives have been sacrificed because ancient orders believed the galaxy belonged to their conflict? Mace ignited his lightsaber. Purple light flared in the chamber. Sky Warriors moved instantly, weapons still hidden but power rising around them. Anakin did not look at Mace. Not yet. The Chancellor is dead because those who fear order have chosen chaos. Those who feared the rise of Skywalker have struck at the heart of the Republic. They believed his death would weaken us. They believed it would divide us. They believed the galaxy would fall into panic. Anakin stepped forward. They were wrong. The Senate trembled under the weight of his voice. I, Anakin Skywalker, Emperor of Skywalker, swear before every world watching that the perpetrators of this attack will be hunted down and eliminated. My Sky Warriors will not rest. My armies will not falter. My empire will not turn away while assassins and traitors hide behind robes, codes, and ancient lies. Mace shouted across the chamber. This is false. Every camera turned slightly, capturing him with his blade drawn. Anakin finally looked at him. For one perfect, terrible moment, the image was exactly what he needed it to be. A Jedi Master armed in the Senate chamber, standing against the man who claimed to be avenging the murdered Chancellor. Anakin's voice lowered. You draw a weapon during a memorial address? Mace realized the trap too late. Obi-Wan did too. Mace, Obi-Wan said quickly. Lower it. Mace did not move. He is lying. Anakin turned back to the broadcast. You see it now. Even here, even before the body of the Republic has gone cold, the Jedi reveal what they are willing to do when power slips from their hands. Yoda stepped forward. Stop this, you must. Anakin's eyes moved to him. No, Master Yoda. You should have stopped it long ago. Then he raised his hand. Every screen across the galaxy shifted. The Republic symbol appeared first. Then it cracked. Not broken by chaos. Reforged by red light, the Empire of Skywalker symbol rose behind it, sharp and burning, swallowing the old mark in a storm of black and crimson. Anakin's voice became thunder. The Republic has failed because it was built to argue while worlds suffered. It was built to wait while enemies prepared. It was built to trust orders that answer to no people and no crown. He spread his arms. That failure ends tonight. The Senate chamber shook with screams. Anakin's face remained calm. By emergency authority, by the will of Skywalker, by the necessity of order, and by the blood of a murdered Chancellor, the Republic will be reorganized into the Galactic Empire of Skywalker. The words became history the moment he spoke them. On thousands of worlds, people stared in disbelief. Some cheered, some wept, some screamed, some knelt. On Skywalker, the response was immediate. The capital erupted in thunderous celebration. Bells rang. Banners unfurled. Citizens filled the streets chanting his name. Soldiers struck their fists to their chests. Sky Warriors dropped to one knee beneath the massive screens. Their emperor had not joined the Republic. He had taken it. In the Senate chamber, chaos turned violent. Several senators demanded his arrest. Others shouted support. Some, terrified by the death of Palpatine and the sudden accusation against the Jedi, called for protection. Republic guards hesitated, unsure which authority to obey. The Sky Warriors did not hesitate. They moved into position around Anakin with perfect discipline. Mace Windu stepped forward, blade still burning. You will not leave this chamber. Anakin looked at him. You are welcome to try and stop me. The air tightened. Obi-Wan moved between them, desperate. Enough, both of you. Mace did not lower his blade. He just declared himself ruler of the Republic. Anakin's voice was cold. No, I declared the Republic dead. Yoda raised his hand, but his sadness was deeper than his anger. War, this will bring. Anakin looked down at him. War was already coming. I am simply choosing who wins. Mace moved. He crossed the chamber in a blur, lightsaber raised. The Sky Warriors surged forward, but Anakin lifted one hand, stopping them without looking. Mace's blade came down. Anakin caught it, not with a weapon, with the Force wrapped around his bare hand. The blade froze inches above his shoulder, shaking violently against an invisible grip. Purple light crawled across Anakin's fingers as he held the energy in place. The Senate chamber fell silent. Even Mace looked shocked. Anakin stared into his eyes. "This is why you lose," he said. "You always strike when anger tells you that you are righteous." With a twist of his wrist, Anakin threw mace across the chamber. The Jedi Master slammed into a Senate platform hard enough to crack its side. But Anakin did not kill him. Not yet. That was important. A dead Jedi would become a martyr too soon. A defeated Jedi became proof. Obi-Wan ignited his own blade but held it defensively. "Anakin, do not do this." Anakin looked at him. "You still think this can be talked away? I think you are making enemies of people who could have helped you. They had centuries to help the galaxy." Obi-Wan's face tightened. "And you think ruling it will save it?" Anakin stepped closer. "No." His purple eyes burned. "I know it will." Yoda closed his eyes. In the Force, he felt the future tearing open. The Sith were gone, though the Jedi did not yet know it. The Republic was dead, though many still refused to accept it. And standing in the center of it all was Anakin Skywalker. Not a Sith apprentice, not a Jedi Knight, not a lost boy who could be guided away from darkness. An emperor. One who had just turned the entire galaxy against its old guardians. Above Coruscant, Skywalker ships emerged from hyperspace. Not the full fleet, only the first wave. Dark vessels bearing the red emblem of the Empire of Skywalker appeared over the capital world. Their arrival perfectly timed. They did not fire. They did not threaten. They simply appeared. And the message was clear. Anakin had not made his declaration unprepared. In the hidden shipyards of Skywalker, deeper still, the stolen designs from Palpatine's archives were already being transformed. Engineers, Force scholars, and military architects worked through the night as massive holograms of Anakin's improved Death Stars rotated above secret platforms. Multiple stations, stronger cores, better defenses, weapons designed not only to destroy planets, but to dominate entire sectors with the threat of precision judgment. Palpatine had imagined fear. Anakin imagined certainty. Back in the Senate chamber, Anakin walked toward the central podium. No one stopped him. The Jedi could have fought. The senators could have shouted. The guards could have fired. But for one moment, every being in the chamber understood the truth. Power had shifted. Anakin reached the Chancellor's podium. He placed his hand on it. Then he looked across the broken Senate. Every world that accepts the galactic empire of Skywalker will be protected. Slavery will be abolished in all territories under my rule. Criminal syndicates will be dismantled. Corrupt officials will be removed. Systems abandoned by the Republic will receive food, water, medicine, and security. He paused. And every world that raises arms against the Empire will be treated as an enemy of order. A senator from the Corps shouted, "You cannot force the galaxy to obey you." Anakin looked at him. "I can." The answer was so simple that it chilled the chamber more than any threat. Then Anakin turned toward the Jedi. The Jedi Order is suspended from all military and political authority, pending investigation into the death of Chancellor Palpatine and collaboration with Sith elements. Mace struggled to rise from the cracked platform. "You have no right." Anakin looked at him. "I have victory." Obi-Wan's expression was filled with horror. "This is not justice." Anakin's face remained unreadable. "No, justice failed." His gaze swept across the Senate. "This is what comes after." The broadcast ended. But the damage could not be undone. Across the galaxy, the Republic fractured in real time. Some worlds immediately declared loyalty to the galactic empire of Skywalker, especially those forgotten by the Republic, those terrorized by pirates, those abused by corporations, and those inspired by Skywalker's abolition of slavery. Others rejected him outright. Core worlds panicked. Outer Rim systems watched with cautious hope. Military commanders waited for orders. Criminal syndicates began to flee. The Hutts, hearing the name Skywalker attached to a galactic empire, felt fear spread through their courts like disease. And the Jedi Temple went into emergency lockdown. The Jedi knew the accusation was false, but they could not prove it. Not yet. Their greatest enemy had been erased so completely that even their own memories of suspicion felt blurred, uncertain, difficult to hold. They remembered unease around Palpatine, but not why. They remembered shadows, but not their shape. Anakin had stolen the truth and left them with doubt. In the Chancellor's ruined office, Padme Amidala stood alone. She had watched the broadcast. She had heard every word. She had seen Mace ignite his blade. She had seen Anakin turn the moment into a weapon. When the doors opened behind her, she did not turn. Anakin entered quietly. For once, he did not look victorious. He looked calm. That was worse. Padme's voice was barely above a whisper. "What did you do?" Anakin stopped. "What was necessary?" She turned then, and her eyes were filled with pain. "Do not say that to me." He watched her carefully. The Sith Lord was Palpatine. Padme froze. For one moment, her anger cracked beneath shock. What? He was Darth Sidious. He built the war. He manipulated the Senate. He planned to destroy the Jedi and turn the Republic into his empire. Padme stared at him. "Then why did you not tell the truth?" "Because truth would have saved the Jedi and confused the galaxy." Her face hardened. "So you lied. I used the lie that would end the old order fastest. You accused the Jedi of murdering him. They would have stood in my way. Because you declared yourself ruler of the galaxy." Anakin's jaw tightened. The Republic was dying. "You do not get to murder democracy because it is flawed." "I did not murder democracy," he said. "The Republic did that itself. I gave its corpse a purpose." Padme stepped back from him. The movement cut deeper than any blade. Anakin noticed. His voice softened slightly. "Padme." "No." She shook her head. "You saved people. You freed a world. I saw something in you that could have been good." His eyes narrowed. "Could have been. You lied to billions. To prevent chaos. To take power. To create order. To make yourself emperor." Anakin stepped closer. "I already was an emperor. Of one world," she said. "Not the galaxy." He stared at her. "You said power should answer to conscience." "Yes." "Then stay with me and be that conscience." Padme's eyes filled with disbelief. "You want me to stand beside you after this?" "I want you to stop pretending you do not understand why I did it. I understand exactly why you did it. That is what scares me." Silence filled the room. Outside, Coruscant shook under sirens, military movements, and emergency declarations. Inside, Anakin felt something he hated. Not fear. Not anger. Loss. Padme looked at him with tears in her eyes, but she did not bow. She did not soften. She did not excuse him. "You cannot build peace with a lie, Anakin." He looked toward the broken window, where Skywalker ships hung over Coruscant's skyline. "Watch me." The words were cold, but his voice was not. Padme heard the difference. That made it hurt more. She walked past him toward the door. Anakin did not stop her. But as she reached the entrance, he spoke. "I killed him because he would have used you against me." Padme stopped. Anakin did not turn around. "He saw what you were becoming to me. He would have threatened you, taken you, hurt you, used your death or your pain to shape me." His hand closed slowly into a fist. "So I removed him." Padme looked back. Her voice was quiet. "You did not do this only for me." "No," Anakin admitted. "Then do not hide empire behind love." She left. The door closed. Anakin stood alone in the ruined office. For the first time since killing Palpatine, victory tasted like ash. Far below, the Senate continued to fracture. Far above, the ships of Skywalker held position. Across the galaxy, worlds began choosing sides. And deep within secret shipyards, the first bones of Anakin's Death Stars began to take shape. The Sith were gone. The Republic was dead. The Jedi were hunted by accusation. And Anakin Skywalker, now self-declared Emperor of the Galactic Empire of Skywalker, stood at the center of a galaxy that had finally learned his name. But somewhere inside him, where power could not silence everything, Padme's words remained. "You cannot build peace with a lie." Anakin looked out over Coruscant. His purple eyes burned in the dark. Then I will build something stronger than peace. What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? The galaxy did not fall silent after Anakin Skywalker's declaration. It screamed. Every major world in the former Republic erupted with confusion. Some planets lowered their banners and raised the Empire of Skywalker symbol before the sun even rose. Others refused to acknowledge the broadcast at all, calling it illegal, impossible, a coup born from panic and lies. Military stations demanded orders from commanders who no longer knew which government they served. Senators barricaded themselves in private chambers. Governors sent desperate transmissions to Coruscant asking one question again and again. Who rules now? And from the heart of Coruscant, the answer came. Skywalker. The Senate building was locked down under emergency authority. Republic guards now stood beside Sky Warriors, unsure whether they were allies, prisoners, or witnesses to history. Above the planet, black warships marked with the red Empire of Skywalker emblem held position in the sky, not firing, not threatening, simply watching. That was enough. Fear moved faster than any fleet. Inside the Jedi Temple, the Order gathered in crisis. Masters, knights, Padawans, and younglings stood beneath ancient stone ceilings, while alarms echoed through the halls. The temple had survived wars, betrayals, Sith resurgences, and centuries of darkness pressing against its walls. But this was different. The Sith had always been an enemy from outside. Anakin Skywalker had turned the galaxy itself into the weapon. In the council chamber, Mace Windu paced like a restrained storm. His robes were torn from being thrown across the Senate chamber. His pride had been wounded more deeply than his body. He planned all of this, Mace said. Every word, every movement, every ship appearing above Coruscant at the exact moment of his declaration. He wanted us to react. Obi-Wan stood near the window, staring out at the city where Skywalker vessels darkened the morning sky. And we did. Mace turned sharply. You think this is my fault? His eyes were closed, but he was not at peace. The force around Coruscant had become heavy, clouded not by Sith darkness anymore, but by something more difficult to read. Control. Anakin's will had spread through the capital like invisible chains. Not choking, not crushing, holding. A Jedi Master leaned forward. We need to reveal the truth. Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Anakin killed him and twisted the story. Obi-Wan looked back. Can we prove that? The chamber went still. No one answered. Because that was the worst part. They knew something was wrong. They felt the shape of the lie. They remembered suspecting Palpatine, questioning the darkness around him, sensing a shadow in the Senate. But the details were broken, blurred, as if someone had taken a blade to memory itself. Yoda opened his eyes. Touched our minds, he has. Mace looked disturbed. All of us. Not fully, but enough. Obi-Wan felt a chill move through him. The idea alone was horrifying. A Force user powerful enough to alter memories across Coruscant, across political offices, across Jedi awareness, and leave behind only fragments. It was not just strength. It was precision. It was terrifying. Mace turned toward the door. Then we act now, before he tightens his grip. Obi-Wan stepped forward. Act how? We arrest him. You saw what happened in the Senate. Then we bring every master we have. And start a war in the middle of Coruscant? Mace's eyes burned. The war has already begun. Before Obi-Wan could answer, the temple alarms changed. A deep tone rolled through the walls. Not warning. Breach. Every Jedi in the chamber turned. A young knight rushed in, breathing hard. Masters, Imperial forces have entered the lower temple levels. Mace's hand went to his lightsaber. How many? The knight swallowed. Sky Warriors. Dozens of them. Maybe more. They are not attacking civilians. They are moving directly toward the archives, hangars, and communications tower. Obi-Wan's face tightened. They're cutting off our escape and our message. Mace ignited his blade. Then we stop them. Yoda rose slowly. No. Protect the younglings first. Survive, the Order must. Mace looked at him. If we run now, we confirm every lie he told. Yoda's eyes were heavy. If die here we do, no truth remains to tell. The doors of the Jedi Temple exploded inward, not from bombs. From the Force. Stone cracked, metal screamed, and the great entrance collapsed as black-armored warriors stepped through the smoke. They moved in disciplined silence, cloaks trailing behind them, red symbols glowing on their arms and shoulders. The Empire of Skywalker had entered the temple. At their front stood Commander Viola Ren. Her helmet was removed. Her dark hair moved slightly in the smoke. Purple light flickered around her fingers, and the Empire of Skywalker emblem was marked across her chest. A line of Jedi ignited their blades before her. Blue and green light filled the hall. Viola stopped. Her voice carried calmly through the smoke. By order of Emperor Skywalker, the Jedi Order is suspended under investigation for conspiracy, treason, and collaboration with Sith elements. Lay down your weapons, surrender your archives, and no further force will be required. A Jedi Knight stepped forward. This temple does not answer to your Emperor. Viola looked at him. It does now. The Jedi moved first. He rushed her, blade raised. Viola did not draw a weapon. She raised her hand. The stone floor beneath the Jedi rose like a wave, slamming into his legs and throwing him off balance. Before he could recover, another Sky Warrior moved in from the side and struck his wrist with a short metal staff. The lightsaber fell from his hand and deactivated the moment it hit the floor. The Sky Warrior kicked the weapon away, then drove the Jedi to the ground without killing him. That was how Anakin had ordered it. Do not slaughter them. Break them. Capture them if possible. Kill only if necessary. The next wave of Jedi attacked together. Then the temple became war. Sky Warriors moved differently from Jedi. They did not fight with elegance. They did not duel for honor or tradition. They fought as a unit. One would pressure a Jedi's defense, another would pull at the floor beneath their feet, another would crush the air around their chest just long enough to make them stumble. When a Jedi lost grip of their weapon, the Sky Warriors did not leave it burning on the ground. They forced it away, deactivated it, removed it from the fight. Lightsabers only burned in the hands of Jedi. Once fallen, they became silent metal. The temple halls filled with sparks, smoke, shattered stone, and the sound of ancient pride breaking against new discipline. In the archives, Jocasta Nu stood before the sealed vaults with several Jedi protecting her. A squad of Sky Warriors entered the chamber. Their leader raised one hand. We require access to the restricted archives. Jocasta's face hardened. You will never touch this knowledge. The Sky Warrior looked around at the endless shelves of history. Knowledge hidden by fear is already imprisoned. Jocasta drew a small blade of light. Then come take it. The fight was brief. Not because Jocasta was weak. Because the Sky Warriors had not come to duel. They shattered the floor beneath the defenders, turned broken stone into restraints, and used pressure waves to pin Jedi against the shelves without cutting them down. Jocasta fought with fierce skill, but age and outrage could not stop three coordinated Force users who had been trained to end battles quickly. Her lightsaber flew from her hand. It hit the floor. The blue blade vanished. A Sky Warrior caught the hilt before it rolled away. Jocasta collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. The squad leader stepped past her and placed his hand on the archive vault. The lock resisted. Then a purple pulse moved through the metal. The vault opened. Far above, in the temple hangars, Jedi attempted to evacuate younglings and Padawans. Transports powered up. Engines roared. Pilots shouted through comms that the skies were blocked, but there were still narrow paths through the traffic lanes. Then black ships descended outside the hangar opening. Skywalker interceptors. Not firing. Blocking. A voice came over the hangar speakers. No unauthorized vessels may leave the temple. A Jedi pilot slammed his fist against the controls. They're trapping us. A calm voice answered from behind him. No. We are containing you. The pilot turned. A Sky Warrior stood at the hangar entrance, flanked by 4 others. The Jedi guarding the children moved in front of them immediately. The Sky Warrior looked past them at the frightened younglings. "We are not here for the children." One of the Jedi Masters raised her blade. "Then move aside." "I cannot." "Then you are here for the children." "No," the Sky Warrior said. "We are here because your order will use them as proof of innocence while hiding behind them." The Master's face tightened with anger. "You know nothing of the Jedi." The Sky Warrior's voice softened slightly. "I know what it means when children are trained to obey before they understand themselves." That struck deeper than expected. Then blaster fire from Republic guards outside the hangar broke the tension, and the fight began. In the lower hall, Obi-Wan Kenobi moved through battle with precision and sorrow. He did not want to kill these warriors. He could feel what they were. Not Sith, not monsters. Many of them carried pain beneath their discipline. Former slaves, survivors, people who believed Anakin had given them everything. That belief made them dangerous. A Sky Warrior came at him with a staff crackling with violet energy. Obi-Wan blocked, turned, and used the Force to throw the warrior into a pillar hard enough to disarm but not break him. Another attacked from the side. Obi-Wan spun, blade flashing, cutting through the staff without touching flesh. The Sky Warrior staggered back. "You fight to preserve a lie," the warrior said. Obi-Wan held his blade defensively. "And you fight for one." The warrior hesitated. That was enough for Obi-Wan to push him away and move deeper into the temple. He found Mace Windu in the Grand Hall. Mace was surrounded by fallen Sky Warriors. Not dead, most unconscious, some wounded, all defeated. His blade burned bright in his hand, and his expression was cold with purpose. Viola Wren stood opposite him. The two had carved a circle of destruction into the hall around them. Stone columns were cracked. Statues had fallen. Red banners marked with the Empire of Skywalker symbol now hung across the far wall where temple flags had once stood. Mace pointed his blade toward her. "You are not leaving this temple with our archives." Viola breathed steadily, blood running from a cut above her brow. "The archives are already leaving." Mace's eyes narrowed. Viola smiled faintly. "You still think battles are won only where blades meet." Mace moved. Viola barely avoided the strike. His blade cut across her shoulder armor, burning through the Empire of Skywalker emblem there. She stumbled back but did not fall. Purple energy flared around her palm, and she slammed it into the ground. The floor cracked beneath Mace. He leapt before it could swallow him, flipping over her and striking downward. Viola caught the blow with a shield of violet force energy that shattered under the pressure and threw her across the hall. She hit the steps hard. Mace approached. "You are beaten." Viola pushed herself up, smiling through blood. "No, I am buying time." Mace froze. Obi-Wan arrived just as the temple's central lights flickered. A deep hum moved through the walls. Obi-Wan looked upward. "What is that?" Viola laughed softly. "The temple is blind." Across the Jedi Temple, the communication systems died. The archive vaults copied themselves into hidden Skywalker channels. The hangar controls locked. The outer shields shifted. The Jedi had always believed the temple was sacred ground, protected by ancient systems, tradition, and the Force. But Anakin had studied the temple through the minds of the Jedi, through stolen memories, through Palpatine's hidden records. Through every weakness the Sith had uncovered and never used openly. He knew where to strike, and his Sky Warriors had struck perfectly. Then the main doors opened again. This time the battle stopped, not because of an explosion, because of presence. Anakin Skywalker walked into the Jedi Temple. The smoke moved away from him as if afraid to touch his armor. His black cloak trailed behind him. His purple eyes glowed faintly beneath the broken light of the hall. On his chest, the Empire of Skywalker symbol burned red. Every Jedi felt him. Every Sky Warrior knelt. Even the wounded, even Viola, struggling to stand, dropped to one knee. "My Emperor," she said. Anakin did not look at her first. He looked at Mace. Mace raised his blade. Anakin walked forward. Obi-Wan stepped between them, Anakin, stop. Anakin's eyes moved to him. You are still speaking as if this is a misunderstanding. This is the Jedi Temple. No, Anakin said. This is the headquarters of an armed religious order accused of treason. Obi-Wan's face tightened. You know that accusation is false. Anakin's gaze sharpened. Do I? Obi-Wan stepped closer. Yes, you do. For a moment, something passed across Anakin's face. Not guilt, not regret, recognition. Obi-Wan knew. Maybe not everything. Maybe not proof. But enough. Mace's voice cut through the hall. You killed Palpatine. The Sky Warriors looked up sharply. Anakin did not deny it. He simply looked at Mace. And if I did? The hall went silent. Mace's blade hummed. Then you are under arrest. Anakin laughed quietly. It was not mocking. It was almost tired. Still using old words for a new galaxy. Mace attacked. This time Anakin moved faster. He did not draw a blade. He stepped inside the strike, turned his body just enough for the weapon to pass, and struck Mace in the chest with an open palm. The force exploded outward. Mace flew backward through shattered smoke and crashed into the far wall. Before he could rise, Anakin raised one hand. Mace's lightsaber ripped from his grip and flew into Anakin's palm. The purple blade vanished as Anakin switched it off. He looked down at the hilt. Beautiful weapon. Mace struggled against the invisible pressure holding him to the wall. Give it back. Anakin's eyes lifted. No. He crushed the hilt in his hand. Metal folded. Crystal cracked. The weapon died. Mace stared in fury. Obi-Wan's face went pale. That was more than disarming him. It was humiliation. A message. Anakin stepped toward the center of the hall. Listen carefully. The Jedi Order is finished as a political force. Your temples will be searched. Your communications will be monitored. Your archives will be seized and reviewed. Those who surrender will live under Imperial custody until their loyalty is determined. A Jedi Knight shouted from the stairs. And those who refuse? Anakin turned his head. They will be hunted. The young knight raised his blade and charged. Obi-Wan shouted, No! Anakin did not move. One of the Sky Warriors stepped into the Jedi's path. The fight lasted 3 movements. Staff to wrist, force pressure to the chest, knee to the ground. The Jedi's lightsaber fell, instantly shutting off as it struck the stone. The Sky Warrior kicked it away and pinned the knight down. Anakin watched without emotion. This is what your order never understood. You trained individuals to be noble. I trained an army to win. Yoda entered the hall then. He did not come with speed. He came with sadness. The fighting around him faded as Jedi and Sky Warriors sensed his presence. Even Anakin's warriors seemed cautious. Yoda looked upon the shattered hall, the fallen Jedi, the banners of Skywalker hanging above ancient stone. His voice was quiet. Much pain you bring. Anakin faced him. Pain was already here. I only removed the silence around it. Yoda's eyes lifted to meet his. Lie built upon lie, your empire becomes. Anakin's expression hardened. The Jedi built themselves on lies too. You call children chosen, then take them from families. You call emotion dangerous, then wonder why broken hearts turn dark. You call yourselves peacekeepers, then stand beside a republic that allowed slavery. Yoda closed his eyes briefly. Failed, we have. The admission made the hall go still. Even Anakin paused. Yoda opened his eyes again. But failure does not give you the right to chain the galaxy. Anakin stepped closer. I am not chaining it. No. Yoda looked around at the soldiers, the seized temple, the fallen Jedi. What call this, do you? Anakin's voice became cold. Correction. For the first time, Yoda's hand moved toward his lightsaber. Not because he wanted to fight, because he understood Anakin would not stop. Obi-Wan saw it too. Master, he said quietly. Yoda did not look away from Anakin. Leave, the younglings must. Anakin's eyes narrowed. They are not prisoners. Then allow them to go. A long silence followed. Every being in the hall waited. Anakin could have said no. He could have taken them all. The children, the archives, the temple, the future of the Jedi in one night. But somewhere in his mind, he heard Padme. Peace is when people do not need to fear the hand that protects them. His jaw tightened. The younglings may leave, Anakin said. With neutral escort. They will not be used as soldiers against me. Yoda studied him carefully. Agree to this, I do. Mace shouted from where he was still pinned. Master Yoda, we cannot surrender the temple. Yoda's face remained sorrowful. Temple already lost, it is. The words broke something inside the Jedi who heard them. Anakin looked at Yoda with something almost like respect. You are wiser than the rest. Yoda's ears lowered. And you are more lost than you know. Anakin's expression darkened. Before he could answer, a voice echoed from the temple entrance. Anakin, he turned. Padme Amidala stood in the broken doorway, surrounded by smoke and stunned guards. She had forced her way past Imperial checkpoints, Senate security, and chaos in the streets to reach the temple. Her eyes moved across the scene. The fallen Jedi, the kneeling Sky Warriors, the red banners, Mace pinned against the wall, Yoda standing before Anakin as if one more word could begin a war. Padme's face filled with horror. What have you done? Anakin's gaze softened despite himself. You should not be here. No, she said, walking forward. You do not get to say that. Not now. Sky Warriors moved subtly to block her path. Anakin raised his hand. They stopped. Padme came closer, her voice shaking with anger. You told me Palpatine was the Sith Lord. He was. You told me you killed him because he was dangerous. He was. And now you are using his death to destroy the Jedi. Anakin's face hardened. The Jedi would have protected the Republic that allowed him to exist. Then expose the truth. I told you truth would divide the galaxy. And this won't? Her voice echoed through the ruined temple. Anakin stepped toward her. This gives the galaxy direction. No, Padme said. This gives it fear. Anakin stopped. The word struck him harder from her than from anyone else. Fear. The thing he understood. The thing he used. The thing he believed held worlds together when hope failed. Padme looked at the Sky Warriors. These people follow you because you freed them, because you gave them life. Is this what you want them to become? Soldiers who storm temples and take down anyone you call an enemy? Vaila, still kneeling, lowered her eyes. Anakin noticed. So did Padme. She turned back to him. You are teaching them that loyalty means never questioning you. Anakin's voice lowered. Loyalty means standing when the galaxy turns against us. No, that is obedience. The temple fell silent. Anakin stared at her, and for one dangerous moment, the air trembled. Obi-Wan stepped forward carefully. Anakin. Anakin did not look at him. His eyes remained on Padme. She was afraid. He could feel it, but she did not move. She did not kneel. She did not flatter him. She stood in the center of his victory and made it feel like judgment. Anakin hated that, and needed it. His hand slowly lowered. The pressure holding Mace against the wall released. Mace dropped to the floor, breathing hard. Several Jedi moved to help him. Anakin turned away from Padme and looked at Vaila. Secure the archives. Withdraw from the youngling levels. All Jedi who surrender are to be detained, not harmed. Vaila bowed her head. As you command. Mace rose shakily. This is not over. Anakin looked at him. No, it is not. Mace's eyes burned with rage. You have made the Jedi your enemy. Anakin's voice was calm. No, Master Windu. I have made the galaxy choose whether it still needs you. That wounded more deeply than another strike would have. Yoda looked toward Obi-Wan. Go. Protect those we can. Obi-Wan hesitated, looking at Anakin one last time. There was sadness in his eyes now. Not fear. Sadness. You could have been something else, Obi-Wan said. Anakin's jaw tightened. I am something else. Obi-Wan looked at Padme, then back at him. Yes, he said quietly. That is what worries me. The Jedi began to withdraw. Not all of them. Some refused to leave and were captured. Some escaped through hidden passages before the Sky Warriors sealed them. Some vanished into Coruscant's lower levels. By dawn, the Jedi Temple was no longer fully Jedi. The Empire of Skywalker symbol hung from its highest tower. The image spread across the galaxy like fire. To Anakin's supporters, it was justice. The old order humbled. The guardians of a failed republic finally held accountable. To his enemies, it was tyranny revealed. To the Jedi, it was the beginning of exile. In secret corridors beneath the temple, Obi-Wan led a group of younglings and surviving Jedi toward hidden evacuation tunnels. Yoda walked beside him, slower but steady. A youngling looked up at Obi-Wan with tearful eyes. "Are we bad?" Obi-Wan stopped. His heart broke quietly. "No," he said. "No, you are not bad." "Then why do they hate us?" Obi-Wan looked back toward the temple halls where smoke still curled beneath ancient ceilings. "Because sometimes people in pain believe someone must be blamed." Yoda placed a gentle hand on the child's shoulder. "Survive we must. And remember." The youngling nodded through tears. Far above them, Anakin stood in the council chamber. It was empty now. The seats of the Jedi Masters surrounded him like ghosts. Through the windows, Coruscant glowed beneath the shadow of Skywalker warships. Padme stood near the doorway, arms crossed, watching him. "You took their home," she said. Anakin ran his fingers over the back of one council chair. "They took children from homes for centuries. That is not why you did this." He turned toward her. "No. I did this because the Jedi are the only force left that could rally the galaxy against me." Padme looked pained. "At least you admit it. I have never lied to you about what I am. You lie to everyone else." Anakin's eyes darkened. "They are not you." Padme stepped closer. "That cannot be enough, Anakin. You cannot be honest with one person and build an empire on lies." He looked away. For a moment, exhaustion touched him. Not physical exhaustion. Something deeper. The weight of holding a galaxy in his grip before it could slip into chaos. "I am trying to stop a war before it consumes everything. You are starting one." He looked back sharply. "The war started long before me, and you are giving it a crown." Anakin had no answer. Outside, the sun rose over Coruscant. Inside, the new emperor stood in the stolen heart of the Jedi Order and felt victory closing around him like armor. Then one of his officers entered and knelt. "My emperor, the first sectors have responded." Anakin turned. "Report. 23 systems have accepted imperial reorganization. 12 have refused. 7 have requested protection from Jedi retaliation. Hutt space has gone silent. Separatist leadership is attempting emergency communication with former Republic military commands." "And Skywalker? The people celebrate your victory. The first improved battle station designs have entered construction." Padme's eyes widened. "Battle station?" Anakin did not look at her. "Continue." The officer bowed. "Our engineers say the first core can be completed faster than expected if the stolen Sith networks remain stable." Padme stepped forward. "What battle station?" Anakin dismissed the officer with a gesture. The officer left quickly. Padme stared at him. "Anakin." He turned slowly. "Palpatine was building weapons to force the galaxy into obedience. And you took them?" "I took everything." Her voice became cold. "And now you are building them yourself." "I am improving them." Padme looked at him as if she no longer recognized him. "They destroy worlds, don't they?" Anakin's silence answered. Padme stepped back. "No. They will prevent rebellion. They will create it. They will end wars before they begin. They will make every world afraid of the sky." Anakin's voice hardened. "Good." The word broke something between them. Padme stared at him. Anakin realized it too late. He had answered too quickly, too honestly. Padme's voice became quiet. "Then you have become exactly what you claimed to destroy." Anakin's eyes flashed. No. You hated the Hutts because they ruled through fear. I freed their slaves. And now you want to put the galaxy under the shadow of weapons that can destroy entire planets. To protect order. To protect yourself. The chamber trembled. Anakin turned away, fighting the surge of anger inside him. Padme saw it. She was not safe here. Not because he would hurt her willingly, because power moved around him when emotion broke through control. And Anakin's control was beginning to crack where she was concerned. I should go, she said. Anakin turned back quickly. Padme. No, not now. She walked toward the door. This time he reached out. Not with the Force, with his hand. He caught her wrist gently. She stopped but did not turn. His voice was softer. Do not leave me. The words did not sound like an emperor. They sounded like the boy beneath him. Padme closed her eyes. For one moment, she almost stayed. Then she opened them again. I am not leaving you, she said. I am refusing to follow you into darkness. She pulled her wrist free. Anakin let her. She left the council chamber without looking back. And Anakin Skywalker stood alone among the empty Jedi seats, surrounded by victory, power, armies, secrets, and the beginning of weapons that could make the galaxy kneel. But the one person he wanted beside him had walked away, far beneath Coruscant, hidden in tunnels older than the Republic's memory. Obi-Wan, Yoda, and the surviving Jedi disappeared into exile. Far above, the Empire of Skywalker tightened its grip. Across the stars, systems chose sides. And in the secret shipyards beyond the reach of public knowledge, the first skeleton of Anakin's Death Star began to form. Not Palpatine's weapon. Skywalker's. The galaxy had watched the Jedi fall. Now it would learn what rose in their place. What if Anakin Skywalker made the Empire? The galaxy did not know how to breathe under the shadow of Skywalker. In the days after the fall of the Jedi Temple, the Republic became a memory faster than anyone believed possible. Its banners were lowered from Senate towers. Its military codes were rewritten. Its commanders were forced to swear new loyalty or be removed from power. Its senators were made to kneel before the emergency laws they had once helped create. Only now those laws did not answer to Palpatine. They answered to Anakin Skywalker. Across Coruscant, the red symbol of the Empire of Skywalker appeared on buildings, ships, armor, and screens. It burned above government halls. It glowed across military command centers. It hung from the highest towers of the former Republic capital, a mark that told every citizen one truth. The galaxy had changed hands. Some worlds accepted it. Some worlds welcomed it. Those who had suffered under corruption, pirates, slavers, and forgotten promises saw Anakin as something the Republic had never been. Immediate, decisive, uncompromising. The Empire of Skywalker sent food to starving moons, water to abandoned colonies, soldiers to worlds terrorized by crime syndicates, and sky warriors to territories where Hutt influence still poisoned the stars. Slavery ended wherever his banners flew. Criminal kings were dragged from their palaces. Corrupt governors vanished from office overnight. For many, Anakin Skywalker was not a tyrant. He was justice with a crown. But to others, he was terror given a throne. Core worlds whispered in locked chambers. Former Republic loyalists hid fleets behind moons. Surviving Jedi scattered into exile, moving from safe house to safe house, protecting younglings from a galaxy that now feared their name. The accusation against the Jedi had not been proven, but proof no longer mattered. Anakin had changed the story, and the galaxy believed what fear made easiest to believe. In the old Jedi Temple, now renamed the Imperial Hall of Balance, Anakin stood alone in the council chamber. The seats remained. He had not destroyed them. He wanted them there, empty, a reminder. The Jedi had sat in this room for generations, speaking of peace while worlds suffered. They had believed themselves above kings, above armies, above ordinary people. They had believed restraint made them righteous. Now their chamber belonged to him. Outside the windows, Coruscant glittered beneath Imperial warships. Skywalker banners moved in the high winds. Patrol craft crossed the skyline in perfect formation. The capital of the Republic had become the capital of his empire. And still, Anakin did not feel victorious. Not fully. He had taken the Senate. He had broken the Jedi's authority. He had erased the Sith. He had stolen Palpatine's secrets and reshaped them into something greater. In hidden shipyards across Skywalker space, the first Death Stars neared completion. Not one weapon. Not a single moon of fear. A network of battle stations built with improved cores, stronger shields, faster targeting systems, and command structures loyal only to him. Palpatine had wanted to frighten the galaxy. Anakin wanted to make resistance impossible. The doors opened behind him. Viola Wren entered and knelt. "My Emperor." Anakin did not turn. "Report. The Outer Rim campaigns are succeeding. Hutt forces are collapsing faster than expected. 12 slave moons have been liberated. 3 Syndicate fleets surrendered after seeing the Skywalker fleet enter their systems." "And the Jedi?" Viola hesitated. Anakin noticed. "Speak." "Master Windu has gathered survivors. Kenobi and Yoda remain hidden. Several neutral systems are sheltering Jedi refugees." Anakin slowly turned. His purple eyes glowed faintly in the dim chamber. "Which systems?" Viola looked up. "Alderaan is suspected. Naboo may be involved." The room grew colder. Anakin said nothing. Viola lowered her head further. "My lord, I can send Sky Warriors immediately." "No." Viola looked surprised. Anakin's gaze moved to the city beyond the glass. "Naboo is not to be touched. Because of Senator Amidala?" Anakin looked at her. Viola instantly lowered her eyes. "Forgive me." Anakin walked toward her. For a moment, the only sound was his boots against the ancient floor. "You are loyal, Viola. To the end, my Emperor. Then understand this. Loyalty does not give you permission to speak carelessly about her." Viola's face tightened. "Yes, my lord." Anakin stopped before her. Then his voice softened, but only slightly. "What of Padme?" Viola hesitated again. "She has refused all Imperial invitations. She has returned to Naboo under diplomatic protection. She has publicly called for peace, truth, and a full investigation into Palpatine's death." Anakin's expression did not change, but the chamber trembled. Viola kept her head lowered. "She has not openly declared against you." Anakin looked away. "No, she would not. Not yet." There was pain in that answer. Viola heard it and said nothing. Anakin returned to the window. "Leave me." Viola rose and obeyed. When the doors closed, Anakin stood in silence, surrounded by everything he had won and everything he was losing. Padme. Her name moved through him like a wound that refused to close. She had seen him clearly, more clearly than his generals, more clearly than his citizens, more clearly than the Jedi. She saw the freed slave who hated chains, and the Emperor who was building them out of law, fear, and weapons large enough to erase worlds. He hated that she was right. He hated more that he still wanted her beside him. Far away on Naboo, Padme Amidala stood before the lake where the water reflected the evening sky. The world was peaceful, too peaceful. Flowers moved in the breeze. The palace rose behind her in soft golden light. Birds crossed the horizon. Naboo did not yet look like a world caught between empire and rebellion. But Padme knew peace was fragile. She had seen Coruscant bow. She had seen the Jedi Temple fall. She had seen Anakin Skywalker become the most powerful being in the galaxy and still look at her like a man begging not to be left alone. Behind her, Obi-Wan Kenobi approached quietly. He looked older than he had days ago. War and betrayal did that. Not to the face at first, but to the eyes. Padme did not turn. "Any word from Master Yoda?" "He is safe," Obi-Wan said. "For now." "And the children?" "Hidden, scared, alive." Padme closed her eyes. "Good." Obi-Wan stood beside her, looking out over the water. "The Empire is moving quickly. Systems are joining him faster than expected. Because he is helping them." Obi-Wan looked at her. Padme's voice was heavy. "We cannot pretend otherwise. He is ending slavery, removing corrupt leaders, protecting worlds the Republic ignored, and building weapons that can destroy planets. Yes, Obi-Wan's gaze lowered. That is the problem with Anakin. The good he does makes the horror easier for people to accept. Padme opened her eyes. He believes fear is the only way to keep peace. He believes that because fear was the first thing the galaxy taught him. Padme looked at Obi-Wan then. There was no anger in his voice, only sadness. You care about him, she said. Obi-Wan looked away. I barely know him, but you care. Obi-Wan was silent for a long moment. I think part of me sees what he could have been if someone had found him sooner. Padme's face tightened. And I see what he still could be. Obi-Wan turned to her. Padme, I know, she said softly. I know what he has done. Then you know he may not stop. She looked back toward the water. Then someone has to stand in front of him and ask him to. Obi-Wan's expression grew troubled. You think he will listen? Padme's voice was quiet. I think he wants to. The final crisis began above Alderaan. An Imperial fleet arrived in orbit after receiving confirmation that Jedi refugees had passed through the system. The planet denied harboring them. The Empire of Skywalker demanded inspection rights. Alderaan refused. For 12 hours, the galaxy watched. Anakin did not send a normal fleet commander. He went himself. The first will emerged from hyperspace above Alderaan like a blade cutting through reality. Behind it came Imperial cruisers, carriers, and the incomplete but functional frame of the first Skywalker battle station. It was not yet fully armed. It did not need to be. The shadow alone changed the meaning of the sky. On Alderaan, millions looked upward and saw the future Anakin was building. A world could be beautiful. A world could be peaceful. A world could be innocent. And still, if the Empire chose, the sky could become death. Bail Organa stood in the Royal Command Center as the transmission from Anakin appeared before him. Anakin's image filled the room. Black armor, purple eyes, calm face. Senator Organa. Bail stood tall. Emperor Skywalker. You are sheltering Jedi fugitives. We are sheltering refugees. You are obstructing Imperial justice. I am refusing to hand children to soldiers. Anakin's eyes narrowed. The children are not my target. Then why bring that? Bail asked, gesturing toward the battle station visible through the command center viewport. Anakin did not look away. To prevent misunderstanding. Bail's voice hardened. No. You brought it to make fear speak before you did. For a moment, Anakin said nothing. Then he replied, Fear is faster than war. It is also how war begins. Anakin leaned slightly forward. Open your ports. Surrender the Jedi. Alderaan remains unharmed. And if I refuse? The room fell silent. Anakin's expression did not change, but everyone felt the answer before he gave it. Do not refuse. The transmission ended. Alderaan prepared to die. But before Anakin could issue the next command, another ship entered the system. Small, unarmed. Naboo markings. The bridge officers of the first will turned as the vessel moved between Alderaan and the Imperial fleet. Viola Wren stepped toward Anakin's command throne. My Emperor. The ship is broadcasting one passenger identity. Anakin already knew. His hands tightened on the throne. Padme. The Naboo ship requested docking. Every officer on the bridge waited. Viola watched Anakin carefully. My lord, it could be a trap. Anakin stood. No. How can you be certain? His voice was low. Because it is her. Padme entered the first will without guards. Anakin met her in the observation chamber overlooking Alderaan. The planet turned below them, blue and green and peaceful beneath the shadow of the Imperial fleet. For a moment, neither spoke. Padme looked different than she had on Coruscant. Not weaker. Stronger somehow. Her face carried the exhaustion of someone who had chosen to stand where everyone else wanted to hide. Anakin looked at her like she was the only real thing in the room. You should not have come. Padme's eyes did not leave his. You keep saying that when you know exactly why I do. He looked toward Alderaan. They are hiding Jedi. They are protecting children. They are protecting an order that will rise against me. Maybe because you gave them no choice. Anakin turned sharply. They had every choice. The Jedi could have stepped aside. The Senate could have accepted order. The galaxy could have understood that I am ending the chaos that destroyed it. Padme stepped closer. You are not ending chaos. You are making everyone too afraid to move. If they stop fighting, they live. That is not peace. Anakin's jaw tightened. It is survival. For whom? The people? Or your empire? His eyes flashed. My empire protects them. Your empire is about to threaten Alderaan with a weapon Palpatine designed. I improved it. Padme stared at him with disbelief and sorrow. You still say that like it makes it better. Anakin looked out the window again. Below them, Alderaan shone softly. I will not let the Jedi rebuild. Then arrest the ones responsible. Try them. Prove your accusations. They will turn the galaxy against me. Then maybe your empire cannot survive the truth. The chamber shook. Not from weapons. From Anakin. Padme felt the force tighten around them, but she did not step back. Anakin's voice became dangerous. You do not understand what waits if I loosen my grip. I understand exactly what happens if you don't. He turned to her, eyes blazing purple. You think the galaxy will choose peace if I simply ask? No. You think the Jedi will forgive? No. You think the systems that hate me will stop plotting? No. Then what would you have me do? Padme's voice broke slightly, but she held firm. Be better than the fear that made you. Silence. The words landed harder than any attack. Anakin stared at her. For a moment he was no emperor, no conqueror, no living storm. He was the child beneath the twin suns, listening to a galaxy that had never cared about him. The boy who had looked at chains and decided he would never be weak. The ruler who turned a dead world into paradise, then began building weapons large enough to make all other worlds obey. Padme stepped closer. You were right about so much. The Republic failed. The Jedi failed. The Senate failed. Slavery should have been destroyed long before you came. Corruption should have been cut out. The galaxy needed change. Her eyes filled with tears. But Anakin, change is not the same as conquest. He looked away. She reached for his hand. This time he let her take it. You can stop this. His voice was quieter. And if I do, they will come for me. Yes, they will come for Skywalker. Maybe. They will try to tear down everything I built. Then defend it without becoming the thing everyone fears. Anakin looked at her hand holding his. He could feel her heartbeat, her fear, her love, her hope. Hope. A thing he had always called weak because it asked people to believe before power arrived. But Padme's hope was not weak. It had carried her into the heart of his worship alone. It had placed her between Alderaan and his empire. It had made her speak truth to a man who could break worlds. For the first time, Anakin wondered if fear was not stronger than hope. Only easier. The door opened behind them. Viola Wren entered, tense and urgent. My Emperor. Alderaan refuses inspection. Several rebel-aligned vessels have appeared at the edge of the system. Jedi signatures detected. Anakin released Padme's hand slowly. The moment broke. Viola saw Padme and paused. My lord, your orders? Anakin stared at Alderaan. All of history narrowed to one breath. He could destroy the rebels. He could seize the planet. He could show the galaxy that refusal had consequences. He could become inevitable. Padme whispered, Anakin. He closed his eyes. In the Force, he felt everything. The hidden Jedi below. Obi-Wan among them. Yoda distant but present. Bail Organa prepared to die for his world. Viola waiting for command. The Empire watching. Skywalker waiting. The Death Star core humming like a sleeping beast. And deeper still, he felt the memory of his mother's voice. Love should not come from fear. Anakin opened his eyes. Stand down. Viola froze. My lord! Move the battle station out of firing position. Pull the fleet back to defensive range. No troops land on Alderaan. Viola stared at him as if she had misheard. The Jedi will escape. Anakin turned toward her. Let them. Padme's breath caught. Viola's face filled with shock, then conflict. My Emperor, if we allow open defiance now, other systems will. Other systems will see that I do not destroy worlds to prove I can. Viola lowered her head, but her voice trembled. And what of justice? Anakin looked toward Alderaan. Justice that requires children to fear the sky is not justice. The words spread through the command chain like lightning. The Imperial fleet moved back. The battle station shifted away. On Alderaan, people watching the sky began to cry, not because they were safe forever, but because they had survived the moment when history expected them to die. In the hidden refugee tunnels below the surface, Obi-Wan felt the shift before anyone told him. He looked upward. Yoda stood beside him. Stopped, he has... Yoda said softly. Obi-Wan frowned. Why? Yoda closed his eyes. Choice. The choice nearly broke the Empire. Within hours, hardline Imperial commanders demanded explanation. Loyal worlds wondered whether mercy meant weakness. Fearful senators began whispering again. Former Republic systems saw hesitation and mistook it for opportunity. Viola Wren remained loyal, but even she struggled to understand. Anakin returned to Skywalker with Padme beside him. Not as prisoner, not as empress, as witness. The capital of Skywalker greeted them with silence at first. The people had expected victory. They had expected Alderaan to submit. They had expected their emperor to return with proof that no world could defy him. Instead, he returned with a decision none of them understood. He summoned the galaxy to watch one final address. Not from Coruscant, from Skywalker. The world that had once been Tatooine shone behind him as he stood in the grand plaza of his capital. Forests moved in the wind. Rivers flowed through the city. Towers rose beneath twin suns. Millions gathered below, waiting. The Empire of Skywalker symbol hung above him. Padme stood to one side. Viola stood to the other. Across the galaxy, every screen activated. Anakin looked older than he had before. Not in body, in spirit. Citizens of the Galactic Empire of Skywalker, he began. His voice carried over worlds. When I was born, the galaxy was ruled by people who ignored suffering. The Republic debated while slaves were sold. The Jedi meditated while darkness grew. The Sith plotted while billions lived and died without knowing they were pieces in a game. He paused. I hated that galaxy. No one moved. I hated its weakness, its lies, its patience with evil. I hated that people could suffer for generations while those with power asked for more time. His purple eyes burned beneath the light. So I took power. The crowd remained silent. I freed Skywalker. I broke the Hutts. I ended slavery on my world. I built armies so no one could chain us again. I came to Coruscant and tore down a republic already rotting from within. I killed the Sith Lord who had hidden at its heart. Across the galaxy, people gasped. In hidden exile, Jedi stared at the screens. On Coruscant, senators turned pale. Anakin continued. Palpatine was Darth Sidious. The truth struck the galaxy like thunder. Memories twisted. Buried suspicion rose. Fragments returned. The mental veil Anakin had placed over Coruscant began to crack because he allowed it to. I killed him, Anakin said. And then I lied. Padme closed her eyes. Viola looked stunned. The plaza trembled with murmurs. Anakin did not stop. I accused the Jedi and Sith together because I wanted the galaxy to turn against the only order that could challenge me. I used your fear. I used your anger. I used your exhaustion. I told myself it was necessary because I believed order mattered more than truth. His voice lowered. I was wrong. The silence that followed was deeper than shock. It was history holding still. Anakin looked across his people. I will not apologize for freeing slaves. I will not apologize for destroying the Hutts. I will not apologize for ending the Sith. But I will not build peace with the weapons of monsters. Behind him, a hollow image appeared. The Death Star projects. The battle stations. His own designs. Then he closed his fist. Across hidden shipyards, commands activated. Cores shut down. Weapons systems overloaded. Construction frames split apart. In deep space, the first great battle station tore itself open from within, not in a blast that killed workers, but in controlled destruction that scattered its pieces harmlessly into the void. One by one, the Death Stars died before they were born. Anakin watched the images vanish. No world will fear the sky because of me. Padme looked at him with tears in her eyes. Anakin turned back to the broadcast. The Jedi Order is no longer accused of Palpatine's murder. Surviving Jedi are free from Imperial pursuit. The children taken into hiding are not enemies of the Empire. Far away, Obi-Wan lowered his head in disbelief. Yoda's eyes filled with quiet sorrow and hope. Anakin continued, "The Galactic Empire of Skywalker will remain, but it will change. No Senate of corruption will return. No Jedi Council will rule above common people. No Sith will ever again hide behind politics. Worlds under my protection will be defended. Slavery will remain outlawed. Criminal empires will be destroyed." His gaze sharpened. But from this day forward, the Empire will not rule by planetary terror, false accusation, or stolen memory. He lifted his hand. The Empire of Skywalker symbol glowed above him. This empire began because I believed fear was the only language power understood. He looked toward Padme. I was taught another language. Then he faced the galaxy again. Those who wish to leave the Empire may petition for independence under treaty. Those who wish to remain will be protected under law. Those who commit crimes against the innocent will still face judgment. His voice became quieter. And those who followed me because I promised never to let them be chained again, hear me now. I will not become your chain. The plaza erupted. Not all at once. First it was one voice, then another, then thousands, then millions. They did not chant Emperor. They did not chant Conqueror. They chanted his name. Skywalker, Skywalker, Skywalker. But this time, Anakin did not look like he was feeding on it. He looked like he was carrying it. Viola Wren stepped forward slowly. Her face was unreadable. For a moment, Anakin thought she might reject him. Instead, she knelt. Not out of fear, out of choice. "My Emperor," she said, voice shaking. "Command us." Anakin looked down at her. Then he said, "Stand." Viola looked up. "Stand, Commander. The age of kneeling ends today." Viola rose. Across the plaza, soldiers looked at one another. Then, one by one, the Sky Warriors stood taller. The Empire did not end that day. It became something harder, less certain, less absolute, more dangerous in a different way, because now it had to survive without the simple answer of fear. The Jedi did not return to power. They returned to purpose. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda emerged from hiding months later, not to reclaim the temple, but to speak with Anakin under treaty. The meeting took place on Skywalker, beneath open sky and living trees that had grown where desert once ruled. Obi-Wan stood before Anakin with caution still in his eyes. "You told the truth." Anakin nodded. "Yes." "Why?" Anakin looked toward Padme, who stood nearby speaking with Shmi beside the palace gardens. "Because someone had to be brave enough to tell me when I was wrong." Obi-Wan followed his gaze. "She saved more than Alderaan." Anakin's expression softened. "She saved me from proving Palpatine right." Yoda tapped his cane against the stone. "Long road ahead. Still there is." Anakin looked down at him. "I know. Trust you, many will not. They shouldn't." Obi-Wan raised an eyebrow, surprised by the answer. Anakin looked back at him. "Trust should be earned, not demanded." Yoda studied him for a long moment. "Learned something, you have." Anakin almost smiled. "Do not sound too pleased." Yoda's ears lifted slightly. "Pleased I am not. Less worried, perhaps." Obi-Wan glanced toward the city. where the Empire of Skywalker symbol still flew from black banners. And what now? Anakin looked out across his world. Now the galaxy rebuilds. The Empire remains where it is wanted, leaves where it is not, fights slavery wherever it hides, hunts Sith remnants if any survived, keeps the peace when asked, steps back when not. Obi-Wan studied him. That sounds difficult. Anakin's mouth curved faintly. Good. Years passed. The galaxy did not become perfect. No ending could do that. Some systems left the Empire of Skywalker and formed free alliances. Some remained under Anakin's protection. Some argued endlessly in new councils created to prevent one throne from ruling all voices. The Jedi rebuilt slowly, no longer as commanders or political servants, but as wanderers, teachers, healers, and guardians who asked before they intervened. The Sith were gone. The Hutts never recovered. Slavery became the one crime the entire galaxy agreed could not be tolerated. Wherever chains appeared, Skywalker ships arrived, often beside Jedi mediators and local defenders. Old enemies learned to stand together when the innocent were at risk. Anakin remained Emperor of Skywalker, but not Emperor of every world. That was the compromise that saved him from becoming the shadow he had destroyed. Padmé never became his subject. She became his equal. Some called her queen without a crown. Some called her the conscience of Skywalker. Anakin called her the only person in the galaxy brave enough to love him without obeying him. Together, they ruled Skywalker, argued often, changed much, and built a future neither Jedi nor Sith had foreseen. The Empire of Skywalker remained powerful. Its banners still flew. The Sky Warriors still trained. Its fleets still guarded the stars. But beneath the red symbol that once meant fear, a new meaning grew. No chains. No masters. No silence before suffering. On the anniversary of the day Tatooine became Skywalker, the entire planet celebrated as it always had. Children ran through streets filled with music and light. Rivers glowed beneath floating lanterns. Former slaves, now elders, told stories of the day the Hutts fell and the rain first touched the sand. Anakin stood on the palace balcony as the twin suns lowered over the horizon. Padmé came to stand beside him. Below, the people cheered. Not because they were forced to, because they remembered. Anakin looked out over the world he had made. I once wanted the whole galaxy to kneel, he said quietly. Padmé took his hand. I know. He looked at her. And now? She smiled softly. Now? He looked back toward the horizon, where forests moved beneath golden light and the capital of Skywalker shone like a promise. Now I want it to stand. Padmé leaned against him. For once, the force around Anakin was not a storm. It was quiet. Not empty. Not weak. Balanced. And somewhere far beyond Skywalker, across a galaxy still wounded but healing, the stars seemed to breathe again. Anakin Skywalker had made an empire. But in the end, he learned the one truth neither Jedi nor Sith had ever been able to teach him. Power could conquer a galaxy, but only choice could save one.
Nothing can break me.